Alright everyone, oh crap, wrong thing to pop up. I am here with, Foxler Nightfire of the, Furry Raiders, who, if you know, I made a video a while back, on this, issue where a furry convention got canceled because, people worrying that there was going to be, gun threats, because of an argument on Twitter. And somehow Foxler got thrown into this. Because as a member of the Furry Raiders, he's accused of being a Nazi sympathizer a lot because of his outfit and misunderstandings of the furry community. So I brought him on for an interview to ask him about what went down, and he told me that he's actually doing an interview with Vice right now. Is that true? So, alright, Foxler, introduce yourself. This is Foxler Nightfire.
Yes, I'm Foxler. Your most hated furry of them all, unfortunately. And I am the founder and CEO of Furry Raiders, one of the subgroups in the furry community that try to promote equality and for everybody. Unfortunately, didn't work as planned.
So basically, well, if you don't know the history, Foxler, you've been a furry for 17 years?
Yes, 17 long nightmare years.
Yeah, and so can you explain a little bit to people who may not know the whole thing about the fersona and why you're a furry and what it's about, to the ignorant to this? Like, I didn't know a lot about it, and now I'm very interested. You told me a little bit, but for maybe people who don't know, why do you dress up as a fox, basically?
Well, everybody has a different way to define themselves as a furry, but for myself personally, I define myself as a Corsac fox, as you see here. And I put on this persona because this is how 17 years ago I started building my identity. And I started to envision myself as this character day in, day out. And it's just been part of me. Some other people like to do it because it's cute costumes. Other people like to do it because there's some crazy art in the fandom. But for some furries like myself and people that have been in it for a long time, it's relating to other people in this identity form. So for me, Foxler came to be as many years of growth and learning about the different attributes of life, and then adding to it a little bit, and becoming more social in the online community, and it eventually just came to the final form, which you see today, minus a black shirt, and people have apparently got triggered by it.
So, when did the social justice thing come into the furry community? When did you notice it started to happen? Like, when did you start to notice there was, people calling people Nazis or white supremacists? Because this makes no sense to me that this exists in the furry community at all. Like, I'm very confused that somebody would even accuse someone, especially you, when that armband that you're wearing, is an homage to Green Day, which I'm assuming you're a big fan of, Billy Joe Armstrong. And,
well, no, actually, the black shirt and red tie is from there. The armband was a separate.
Oh, okay.
A separate addition, just something I found years ago on a game called Second Life, where you can build your identity, avatar.
Yeah, I know that game.
Yeah, so everybody is very social there, and I just found it as a free item, and it had a paw print on it. So I'm like, awesome. And when you're a furry and you're hardcore about it, anything that represents your animal, and it says fox, I got a lot of fox stuff around my house, and anything furry-related, paws, plushies, whatever, you're going to gravitate towards, and I gravitated to this. So so that's just how that attribute happened. Now, when it comes to people that I saw that were being more snowflake SJWs types, I actually saw it about 10 years ago when I started the Furry Raider group. And I started it just a group of friends to hang out and, have a place where we could just do our thing on Second Life. But I started noticing people in our community were ridiculing other people for what they were doing. So because the furry fandom does have a lot of fetishes tied to it, a lot of people do a lot of different things. And some people like to dress up in suit, like myself, and screw each other. And at the time, 10 years ago, people were shunning that as a horrible thing. We can't do that. And then, there are people that are into into diapers, being baby furs, we call them. And they like dressing up and as a young animal with
Wait,
a
so
diaper on.
there's a Muppet Baby version of the furry community.
Oh yeah,
that's
Oh,
amazing.
they love that show too. They love.
Oh, of course
show
they
so
do.
much.
No, Muppet Babies.
Oh,
Yeah,
and the Rugrats and all that.
yeah.
And I used to sit and monitor those groups on Second Life that were into it, just to sit there and try to be like the middle person. Like, I don't judge. I don't want to judge just because they wear a diaper and they like it. I gotta understand who they are. And they're just regular people that have different needs that make them happy. And furries, the mass majority of furries were ridiculing them just because they did that. And they still do it today. So 10 years ago, I did see a lot of that start to pop up. It didn't become major until it was destructive behavior, and just until about 2 years ago. And I think with the whole political climate that was going on, people latched onto it and said, "This is ultimate. We need to have it this way or the highway." I'm just like, but we're fucking animals in suits. We dress up as animals. We're fantasy creatures. None of this should apply. These are human problems. But they come in, they say, "But my race matters." I'm like, you're a fucking furry. What race? And then
No, that's a great point. Yeah. Well, that's what confused me when I first read the story about the convention, because there was people that were drawing pictures or like making gifs of your fursona getting punched by another fursona, and they had your armband replaced with the swastika. They changed it in the animation, and to me that's a really fucked up thing, even as a joke, because the context wasn't that it was funny. It was just that it was funny because you were a Nazi getting punched. That was the joke. But you're not a Nazi, so there's no joke.
Well, I get that. I get that. And the problem, even when the reason why they changed it, they took the paw out, is that they want to claim, because one thing about furries is that you don't copy other people's personas. That's like a big no-no.
Okay.
I'm not this animal that somebody created and name the same thing. I have to create my own unique thing, and that's the whole kind of big basis in the furry community, that we create our own thing. Even so, it could be like 40 red foxes. They all have different distinctive traits that make them who they are. And the reason why it was changed from a paw to a swastika is because they wanted to identify, oh, it's not Foxler I'm punching. They want to deny any credit that they're actually trying to do that. They want to get their message across, but they don't want to say who they're doing it to. So making one little change and saying, oh, this is my character I'm punching, is complete bullshit. We know who the target is.
Yeah, it was painfully obvious. I'm very upset that they did that, because I mean, do you think that's a character assassination, really?
Well, yeah, in a way.
I mean, because they're misrepresenting what your whole fursona is. Because the armband, the Furry Raider armband with the paw, that means something to the Furry Raiders and what you guys do. So I think when they change it over to swastika, I know you don't seem to get too worked up about stuff, but if that was me, I'd be pissed off, because I'd be like, well, hey, that's not what that is, But we talked about con culture a little bit before we got into this, and so you don't go to a lot of conventions much outside of the furry ones now, right? You've been to some Trek conventions and stuff like that, or
well, I've only been to a total of 4 furry conventions, and I've been to none any other type of convention. I did go recently to Starfest in Denver as my first kind of sci-fi convention, cosplay / sci-fi, and it wasn't really there for me. It was just kind of a separate entity, and I'm just being myself as this persona. But yeah, I'm not the active player of like, oh, I gotta be this, I gotta be that. This year I'm gonna be this because it's fucking awesome. No, it's just like, okay. When I see 12 datas floating around, I get really confused.
There's too many fucking datas here. Run!
Too many datas.
It's the Borg. They're taking over.
It's a Borg all over again.
Why? When did you start being a furry? What age were you when you realized that you kind of had this sort of persona thing? Like, when did you take the furry red pill? What was your when did you?
The furry red pill.
Yeah.
Oh, it was in 2000. I was between the ages of 12 and 13 years old, and I lived in the middle of nowhere, in the mountains. Just me and my mother. Father was gone. You know, he died of cancer, and I pretty much had no social interaction. Like, there was nothing. Zip, nada. You know, my mailbox is 3 miles away. The nearest gas station was 10. So, the computer was the only thing I had. And so I latched to the computer, got the internet, you know, classic dial-up, 56K, and I love foxes. That was like, for some reason in my childhood, foxes was always on my mind. Like, fox toys, I always saw foxes running around and where I lived, and I just wanted to know more. Like, you know, I'm the type of person that's hands-on. I like to tinker. I like to get into things. You know, I'm the type of kid that goes, you give him a wrench and he's gonna tear your car apart. You know?
Yeah.
So, because he wants to know how things work. So I want to know what foxes were. So I looked into foxes, and I found a lot of pictures of foxes. And then I started digging deep, and I saw some drawings. I'm like, oh, this is cute. And eventually, with the aid of, you know, looking up the Star Fox game and stuff at the time, I found the fans of Star Fox. And then I found the fans of furry. And then I saw the sexual aspect of it. I'm just like, I'm in. And then it started slowly progressing, learning about social communities and online, trying to understand how to interact, and then going from there to building the persona a few years later, trying to have a place or have an identity with the rest of the furries that I was interacting with. So that's how I got into it. That's how Foxer started to become into what you see him today.
So, you told me that a lot of furries want to deny the sexual aspect in the community because of fear of social, you know, people coming down on you for it, you know, because even today sexual liberation's kind of frowned upon by a lot of people.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but it's just a thing. But I was curious about that, and I got a lot of comments on my video I made about you guys where people are like, oh, we never fuck in the costumes, man. They cost too much money. You're crazy. But you told me the opposite. You said that that's not true at all, that people do have sex in costumes.
Not true.
Yeah.
Yeah, so obviously when the furry fandom started to gain traction online, I did notice a lot of people, including the board communities like 4chan and stuff, would troll furries. I mean, it's typical, this is weird, different, oh my god, you want to draw Balto banging steel, you know, this is bad stuff, man. Bad stuff. And
Balto.
Furries, yeah.
Thank you, Balto. Thank you.
Oh, you can't forgive Balto's sins now.
No,
but
Balto.
So
Balto was a
furries,
whore, you know.
Oh my god. So furries, because back in the 90s, you know, a convention thought it was a smart idea to advertise with a fetish community, and that's how, you know, the steam got going with the whole anthropomorphic and sexual aspect. And we're all sexual creatures, so it stems to pretty much all fetishes. And furries have been denying it because they don't want to be ostracized by society for being different. And, you know, wearing a giant suit like this is already different enough. I mean, this will get you in some trouble already. You know, add the sexual aspect to it, you're full board going to be completely out. But I've noticed over the years, as experiencing how furries behave, you know, with the public, they really deny it because they want to look innocent. They want to look like, oh, we're the best family-oriented group possible. We're special in this way. And I'm just like, no. Don't lie to people. Stop. Be honest with them. Let them know who you are, what you like to do. Not every furry's in it sexually either, but be honest about who you are, because you are the individual that you're presenting yourself as, and that to me has helped me a lot. So a lot of furries, they they do stuff in costume. I mean, I do as well, and people draw the most craziest art fetishes, all the way from, you know, hardcore BDSM and water sports to hyper to H-play, incest, everything. Name it all. It's all in the fandom. And, you know, anybody that's been on the internet for at least a decade knows this.
Rule 34.
And that's why, yeah, Rule 34.
Yeah.
There will be porn of it. And furries really extremely take that to the next level. And, you know, when I have conversations with the people in the public, they're like, oh, are you do it for pleasure? Is this a sexual thing? I tell them, you know, for me, it is to some degree, and to others, it may not be. And some people get a little worried about it. They're like, oh, I don't want to be around you. I'm like, that's okay. I don't want to be around you either. If you're going to judge me like that.
Yeah.
You go away. You know, I'm dressing up in public as my suit because this is what I feel comfortable in. This is what makes me happy. And that's the thing that furries are not agreeing on right now, I think, is the big thing, is that who are you a furry for? Are you furry for yourself, or are you furry for other people? And because of that, you're going to distinguish yourself differently, how you interact. You know, if you're furry for other people, you're going to put on the best face possible and look the most innocent individual you could possibly be in costume. But for me, I'm furry for myself, so I'm pretty much the same person I am in suit. So that doesn't make me likable across the board, and that's okay, because, you know, that's that individuality that I enjoy to have.
Well, I know. I the one thing that I really got when I was talking to you a little bit ago before we started doing this is you're a very transparent person, and I like people like that, and I like what you're saying, because if you are sexual and that's part of the costume, you should say it, because then that would kind of take a lot of the stigma away, because then you would have the difference between the people who don't do it and the people who do. Instead, when people don't admit it, it confuses everyone. And it makes it more complicated than it probably is.
Well, it could be very dangerous too.
Yeah.
And the reason I say that is that there's been an incident this year about a case. His name is Lupine, and I can see this being a huge problem. And the issue is that, you know, he used his fursuit as a way to have access to minors, to children. And
Wow.
in that event of him having access, because, you know, when parents look at this and you don't talk about the sexual aspect, do you think you're just some cute, cuddly guy that's trying to make smiles on children's faces? And that was not his intent. His intent was to have access sexually to these children. And unfortunately, he did that to a 9-year-old for 3 years, and then he got caught for it. So I like the transparency. I want to know I want everybody to know who are the people you can trust. I mean, hey, if they think I'm some sexual deviant, somebody I don't even know, you know, why should I care a rat's ass in their opinion? But at least they know. At least they know how to approach me and other furries that may be into that. And I know that furries are like, well, don't give us a bad name, because then nobody's going to like us. I'm like, no, you're not being honest with them is going to give us a bad name. Then everybody's going to get confused, and then people like Lupine are going to do something that's very damaging to someone, and then that nobody's going to like furries.
Well, I didn't know about that, but that's a very good point. I didn't. That's the acumen, the way you used that was actually right, because that's scary to know that when you don't know that because it is someone in a costume at the end of the day, so you don't know who that person is underneath the costume. So I think, yeah, you should be a little bit... It's like people... You know, I found out recently the reason that Santa Clauses have the white gloves is so when you see a photo, you can see where their hands are near children. They do that because Santa doesn't wear the white gloves. They actually make the Santas do that, so when they see a photo, they can see where your hands are on the children.
Really?
Yeah, I found that out recently, but I was watching a documentary on professional Santas. And they talked about that the white glove thing is so they can look. It's the easiest color to distinctly see in a photo, so they can say, okay, that hand's nowhere near that kid anywhere that's inappropriate. And they all have to get background checks. Now, I'm not saying furry should have to do that, obviously, but there is a responsibility you have to take as a person on some level if you're going to go out there in a community, if you're going to be a public persona like you are. You're part of the Furry Raiders. You're out there. People know you, and you don't hide much. You know, you're pretty open. So anything people accuse you of, they don't have any ground to stand on because there's no evidence because you're not hiding anything. Where some of these other people, you know, that guy, nobody knows anything about him, or someone else get accused. And I don't like. It seems to me that a lot of people misjudge the furry community, or at least aspects of it. It seems like one person the whole community gets reflected off one or two people a lot of the time. Even though I'm assuming it's just a bunch of individuals who have their own thing going on. I doubt it's like a collective mindset, like so say we all, like, you know, I think. But I do wonder, like, did that SJW thing, did that convention getting shut down, was that very upsetting to a lot of people? Because it seemed like a lot of people, from what I read on Twitter and stuff, when that one individual pretty much got it shut down because she was saying she was gonna punch someone at the convention, and then somebody said, oh, well, I'll bring a gun and shoot you if you punch me. And then that blew up, and they said they had to spend $22,000 on security costs, and they had to cancel. So one person, basically, one social justice warrior, cost everyone else, all these other people, who were good people, who just wanted to go to a convention, their time. And that to me, that's why I wanted to do the video, because that just shows social justice. It's one person fucking it up for a bunch of other people who don't care about the politics. I'm sure when you go to these conventions, you don't give a fuck about politics that much. You're going to have fun.
I don't even care about politics in the real life world.
Yeah.
I involve myself every day. I don't know much about politics. I just know that there's two different group factions that seem to fight all the time, and I'm just like, you know, in the classic thing, who did we vote for? You know, a lot of people, oh, I vote for Hillary, I vote for Trump. You know what I did? I voted for myself as Foxler, because that's what I know, and that's what I'm going to stick with. Even if I try to remove myself from everybody else's little drama puzzle, you know, this is, you know, the issues that everybody's talking about is not at my front door. You know, and people are like, oh, there's racism still around. And I'm just like, I'm multi-race. I don't see what you're talking about.
Well, that's because Asians do well in this country, and they don't like to bring you guys up because it kills the narrative of supremacy in this country. Because if you look at the statistics, Asians actually do better by population than white people when it comes to education and career. But whenever they bring up the systemic racism issue, I'm like, what about Asians? They come over here and do well. And they're like, oh, don't forget about them. It's like, well, isn't that kind of important? They're a minority, and they don't seem to have much issue succeeding in this country.
You know, and I would argue that the fact that I don't see that because I'm a giant fox, and
yeah,
everybody, because I desensitize myself away from it, I have to see the world as not this black and white who's race and everything. I see everybody as kind of an animal. So it's whoever can produce the results, whoever has the persistence to succeed, that is going to survive. That is, you know, that is in a sense, if you want to get into Mother Nature, the survival of the fittest, you know.
Somebody asked me in the chat, what's the difference between a furry and a yiffer? Is it a yiffer or yifer?
A yiffy? A yiffer?
A yiffer, yeah. What is a yiffer?
Actually, I haven't heard that term in almost a decade and a half.
Yeah, I was like, I haven't heard that. Yeah, I was like a yiffer.
A yiffer or a yiffing, yiffing or yiff as its word is the furry term for having sex.
Okay.
Or doing sexual acts. So if someone's yiffing or yiffer, they're someone that likes sex a lot, and they're just a furry that likes lots of sex. More likely, that would be the way I would put it.
So
that would be my opinion to that.
Okay, so it's just somebody saying I'm a hypersexual furry, basically.
Yeah, probably.
Okay.
Yeah, and they're there. I've
yeah.
met many of them, and I'm just like, no, thank you.
So, you told me you're in a relationship, right?
Yes, I am.
Okay, and you're dating you're dating someone who also has a fursona. And you told me something interesting, that you're basically dating the fursona more than the person. And I thought that was fascinating. Actually, I thought that was really interesting. You're in love with the fursona, You love
to a degree. Well, the persona is also him as his personality.
Oh yeah,
So physically,
it's an extension of him.
It's an extension. So physically, his human self is not as appealing. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that. Well, I am saying as a furry, all humans are pretty ugly to me. But that's a personal choice, a personal opinion, and it is just because I spent so many years being a furry and continuously making it part of my life. Every day I sit down, I see regular people. Yes, my boss I see as a human being. I can go every day without being furry. That'll work for me. But when I want to become intimate, when I want to become loving, relationship, I want to embody the thing that makes me the most happy. And the most happy is being this fox, being this persona. And in part, I would also like to share that same excitement with someone else that also feels the same way. So when we see each other, we don't see each other kind of for our human self, we see each other as our animal self. And that adds a lot of mystery in a sense of, like, oh my gosh, I can envision him any way I want, and any way to turn myself on for it, and it's not going to be a problem. So that's the issue. And in a sense, when I first became a furry, I was very straight. Like, a guy, the D in the mouth, nope, no, not going to happen. And it took 6 years of constantly putting my face into the fandom's artwork to be like, well, if I just take away the fact that he's human and just put a dog wang there, I think I could get over it.
Oh, furry conversion therapy.
Yeah, and eventually, 10 years later, I'm like, guys ain't that bad. I mean, they're pretty stable individuals. And I like this. I could do this.
So you were straight, like, your whole life, and then you got gay. You fell into homosexuality through furry. Did the furry?
That's correct.
That's pretty crazy. I mean, I didn't. That's I mean, I'm assuming it was just a way for you to discover yourself in all sorts of new ways as being fox.
Yeah, and I would have to say that if there was no furry aspect to it, I'd probably go back being straight pretty quickly.
I've had lesbian friends that told me the way they would explain, because I used to ask them, like, why do you guys use strap-on and dildos if you're gay? And one of my lesbian friends said it to me really well. She goes, listen, it's not that I don't like dick, I just really want to fuck women, so I want to fuck a woman with a dick. And I thought, oh, okay, I can get that. So I'm kind of getting from you that you're not into men per se, you're into the furry...
I'm into male, well, to be more specific,
yeah.
I'm only into canines, so I'm into male canines.
Okay,
and male, so yeah.
Okay, that makes sense.
So dogs and bitches.
So do you swing both ways, or you just prefer to be with men?
Actually, this is how my sexuality works. When people ask me, "Oh, what's your sexuality?" I say it's Foxler, and the reason I do that is because to be in a relationship with someone, I prefer them to be furry, I prefer them to be canine persona, and if you are male, I prefer you to have a fursuit. So the fursuit is kind of critical for the male part of it. Female side, biologically I'm attracted to females, so I could do that without suit to some degree. But it's becoming harder and harder when I got this 2 years ago to do that. So I'm slowly reconditioning myself into this. It's the fact that I'm pushing away the human roots and replacing it with my own identity that I want to project. So.
Are you losing, or I'm not necessarily losing, but are you becoming? Do you feel uncomfortable when you're not in the costume? Like, do you always want to be Foxler? Is it like is there a like, some people feel a detachment from certain things, like if you lose a leg or something. I wonder, do you feel like disconnect when you're not in the suit?
To some degree, it depends. It really depends how social I am. If I'm like with my colleagues at work, or having dinner with some I'm part of the Porsche and Land Rover community a lot. I'm into cars heavily, or I'm with my boss. Those interactions. If there's too many people, I start missing that feeling of being different. I feel like I'm becoming a normie, like I'm just with everybody, and I have nothing unique to offer aside that I have a lot of good technical knowledge, and I'm a furry.
You know,
So,
I gotta
yeah,
say, that's an impressive thing about you. You were telling me your background, your career, and it once again proves that a lot of the time the people the social justice warriors accuse of being Nazis or white supremacists are actually people with an education, a good career. They actually work. They have a work ethic. I find this a lot. Like when you told me about your life, I go, "Oh wow, this is a guy who actually does a lot." And I'm sure that person who, those people who accuse you of a lot of things, they have a lot less going on. Um, uh,
possibly. I mean, if they got enough time to tweet about me every day, then I
yeah.
don't understand where their time is going because I barely have time to be Foxler. I barely have time to manage Furry Raiders because I'm always constantly doing stuff, and when it comes to that, I'm always working. And I don't have a problem with work. For me, my major is computer science, and I found that was a semi mistake because it was too specialized. And so when I jumped into the work environment, I decided to go independent. I'm not an employee of really anybody. I'm just an independent contractor that will solve problems that you have. Doesn't matter what it is. Mostly it's computers because that's my specialty. I could deal with anything in the IT world pretty well. But I'm also I'm multifunctional in a sense of I can work on issues when it comes to like perfect example. Some of the people that I work with are trying to, let's say, build a home, and they're like, I had one boss that was building a home in Hawaii, and they wanted me to engineer a whole bunch of projects to help energy efficiency, automation. Oh, we have a problem. I want to have my pool at 84 degrees, but I don't want to pay $5 a gallon on propane to heat it. How do we make it happen? And I throw, okay, we got these ideas, we have this technology. I go research more. So I'm always constantly trying to learn new things every day. And what's nice about this work ethic that I put myself into is that it allows me to control the flow of information of what I'm trying to do. And by doing so, it allows me to be more specialized in other areas. And people want to sit down and take the time to learn. And that's why in a way, it gives me job security because I can hurry and nobody cares because all they're looking for is to get the job done.
Wait, hold on one second. Your video's cutting out. Hold on.
Oh no, broken.
I don't know what's going on. Everything's starting to.
Oh shh.
Hold on. Hold on, people. We're having some technical difficulties, but I will keep talking while Foxler, while we try to get this back on. Sorry. Oh, there he is. Okay, I can see you again.
Can you still hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Hold on.
I don't know what happened. We just had a cut out there real quick.
Oh, I think I know what's happening. People on the internet are being bad. Stop being bad, people, because, you can try all you day you want, but trolling me and trying to dox me is not going to help.
Would doxing you do anything? It seems like it would do absolutely nothing.
Hold on. I'm in a call. Oh my god. One moment.
Yes, sir. Alright, Foxler's taking a quick break here. And I'll keep talking because I think he's figuring out some out. Thank you for everyone who's in the chat who's been watching. Get the word out on this Foxler Nightfire interview. Talked to Foxler Nightfire about SJW Furries and his Fersona. Let's get that in there so people know. Found out some interesting things here. Give you guys some backstory here. Basically, I made a video a while back on Foxler and the Furry Raiders that I found out about. And I found out his name, and I thought, that's the coolest fucking name I've ever heard, Foxler Nightfire. And I've been in contact with him for a while, and we've been wanting to do this because social justice warriors basically have been coming into the furry community, which I did not know. And he's in a group, the Furry Raiders, and they accuse them of being Nazis just because they wear these armbands and They don't give a shit. Basically, they're cool guys. They do what they want to do, and people who want to bring politics and especially identity politics into the furry community, like we like to see in all that we're seeing in every facet of life now, they're ruining it for a lot of people. Because this, Foxler, he's not a political guy. He's not, and a lot of the furries aren't. It's not a political thing. But I didn't know there was actually, it was becoming political, with false narratives and false accusations. And it was spreading, so I wanted to bring Foxler in on an interview to have clarity for a lot of people, so we could get the word out that it was like, hey guys, this guy's not a Nazi, he's not evil, and he's not up to anything bad, like you think.
All right, I'm back.
Oh, hey man.
I'm still having. I was getting slammed by something, and then everybody come knocking on my door saying the internet's not working. I'm just like, I'm working on it, man.
All right. So let's get back to this. You work a lot. You have a job. You're a busy guy. You're in the IT career, and anyone knows who works hard in IT knows you got to do a lot of work. You got to travel around, do hours, especially because you don't have one set job.
No, and it comes down to whatever problem that they want me to solve, and it may be completely outside my realm, but I got to learn it or find people to do it.
But what I found really fascinating in talking to you, and this whole thing that got me about this was that I mean maybe I'm wrong here, but you seem kind of like a sweetheart. It seems like to me what shocks me about the Furry Raiders and what you're doing and the messages that you put on Twitter is you're actually pushing a message of progress and acceptance, and not the way the social justice warriors do, where it's like they try to force people to think the way they do. You're rather trying to in a very enlightening way, cross the gap between people and furries, and people that seem to be in the furry community that are having issues. Because I read a lot of your tweets, and a lot of them were, like, telling people how they can be who they are and stuff like that, and, I don't know, is that kind of your message? Is that what you want the Furry Raiders to be? Is it about acceptance and being who you are, or is that part of the whole... Or am I wrong? Is that not the...
To be precise, obviously we're a group of furries that stand with other furries. We don't stand behind, we don't fight for other furries, we don't police the fandom, we're not here to do any of that. We're here to say, you're an individual, we respect that, and if you're different about certain things, we're not going to judge. I mean, there is a fine line to that, and if you go out and you break the law, that's a problem. You know what I mean? If you go out and...
Of course, yeah. Definitely.
And go above and beyond, then we can't support that. But if you want to dress up, look like a Nazi, or you want to dress up looking like you're 12 years old, or 6 years old in a diaper, whatever, do that. That's you're an adult. You're able to do what you want. And the fact that people are trying to push this narrative where, oh, you can't do that because I'm going to make you the most horrible person of all, bothers me.
Well, I hate it because the social justice attack technique is to build themselves up. They have to attack other people. And it's really just them disagreeing with opinions a lot of the time. But their whole thing is character assassination to draw you as a Nazi or a white supremacist or a Donald Trump supporter. And I don't even know if you voted or not. I mean, you have not said anything political, yet I bet a lot of those people assume you're like this Donald Trump MAGA guy. Although I would love to see a MAGA hat on the Foxler outfit, I wouldn't lie. But yeah, that would be funny. But it seems like from what I could find in reading about you and talking to you, there seems to be no conservative or liberal bias that exists within you.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, you can answer on that. I'm curious. Is that how you kind of feel? You don't really lean anyway?
Yeah, I don't really lean anyway. I don't feel that any really strong opinions are going to actually work. We need to find ways to compromise in so many different directions. And when I look at the foundation of my thought process, I go down to the country I live in. I go down to the basic human rights. What are they? What am I allowed to do, and what am I not allowed to do? And aside of hurting other people, being violent, and all that, that's pretty much a no-go, you know. And, you know, in a sense, when it comes down to expressing yourself, as long as it doesn't hurt other people, in a sense, you know, physically, you pretty much should be allowed to do as you wish.
I completely agree. I agree completely.
And people say, well, there's social ramifications for being like that. And I'm just like, well, yeah, but that's a personal choice. You can, in a sense, it's my personal choice to wear the armband, to be who I am, but people are going to be like, you know, you're going to get hated all the time for it. I'm just like, well, that's okay with me, because if you're going to go ahead and go out of your way to hate me, I don't want to be your friend. So in a way, this armband has become a filter. It's like a Brita filter. You know, it gives you 99% purity of all the people that are actually going to be your good friends with you, be there to support you, and won't let you down. You know, who wants a backstabber in their life? You know, who wants someone that's going to lie to them and steal everything you have and run off? You know, who wants that in their life? Nobody does. So that's what this is kind of the thing, is that I'm standing up and saying, no, you're not controlling me because I wear a fucking armband. So that's where I stand politically. I'm not interested in all the views. You know, I think it's just turned into like this mosh pit of just two different factions going at it every time.
Yeah.
And, you know, like, we want universal health care. I'm like, yeah, that's not bad, but then, you know, capitalists are pretty good things, so where do we find a middle ground? You know, what system do we work in? I think the people that I listen to politically, and this is just recently, I've only been kind of trying to understand the political climate the last couple of years.
Yeah.
You know, like Ben Shapiro, Milo Yiannopoulos, those two guys, you know, they seem to be resonating with me a lot better, because they're like, no, that's not what I said. This is what I see. This is my opinion, and this is how we solve it if you want to do it.
Man,
and
I'm so glad you mentioned those two, because to me, Ben Shapiro is like a rock star when it comes to political discussion, and he's one of my, like, I would vote for him to be president in a heartbeat, because almost everything that guy says, I'm like, man, you logically explained your point better than I've heard that explained by anyone. Like, when it comes to his views on politics or even religion, I'm not a religious guy, but the way he talks about it, it's like, god damn, that's fascinating. You're so, like, because he doesn't push it on you, but he explains religious values. And applies them to his values, and you're like, okay, this guy is consistent with his value as a human being. I respect that a lot. That's what matters. He's not being deceptive or manipulative or whatnot with that. Where a lot of other people who talk about political commentary, like I see on CNN or something like that, or Fox News, it is just to push one point of view, one narrative. It's not thought out. It's just to get ratings. Ben Shapiro, to me, doesn't seem like he cares about ratings or something. He comes out, says what he feels, and people just like what he says. Milo's a bit more of a troll, but I like that too. And
and it makes sense.
It does. Well, Milo's the extreme to Ben Shapiro's more like straight guy thing, and I'm fine with that. But I'm glad. Yeah, those two is when I got into it a few years ago too. I started listening to Ben Shapiro, and I was like, man, I agree with a lot of the shit this guy's saying. I'm like, damn. And then I was like, oh, he's a Jew? I was like, all right, good, I'm covered. Okay, I got it. Everything's fine. All right.
Well, yeah, and I was a bit shocked, too, when I heard that he was a Jew, and I was watching his videos. I'm just like, he's religious.
Yeah, it took me back, yeah.
I don't agree with all his, because he thinks abortion is, like, no good.
Oh,
and I'm kind of like, I'm pro-choice. You know, I'm just like, and that's fine. The point is that he has a different view, I have a different view, and the thing is that we debate, and whatever debate works the best will be the one that becomes law. So, that hasn't been figured out yet, and it's not like, oh, you're bad because you're pro-choice or you're pro-life, blah, blah, blah. No, we need to look at the facts, and that's what he's there to present, because he's not going to ridicule you because you have a bad idea. He's going to debate and say, no, this is why I see it this way. So, and
Well,
if you see,
you make a great point in that that we need to have these actual moral debates. We don't need to be arguing about these SJW bullshit third wave feminism, patriarchy. You know, I started the whole patriarchy thing. I mean, it's not the same as what you do, but it was an extension of me because I was frustrated being called a sexist, bigoted, white cis male. I got called all these. I got called a xenophobe one day, and I had to Google what it was because I thought she was like trying to call me a xenomorph, and I was like, "What? Why am I a xenomorph?"
yeah, that's happened to me too. They call me things. I'm like, I don't know what the fuck this is.
Yeah, I've never been called that in my life once. So I kind of took the persona. I said, "All right, fuck you. If you're gonna call me the patriarchy, I'm going to become the patriarchy. I am the patriarchy. And I'm going to be the worst version of the patriarchy you want me to be. Like, you want that over-the-top sexist white pig? I'll play that character in these videos. I will be that guy, and there's nothing you can do about it because, fuck you. Like you said earlier, if people want to dress up as Nazis, I don't give a shit. As long as you're not going out and hurting someone, I don't give a fuck. David Bowie dressed up as a Nazi back in the 80s. I don't give a shit. It's irrelevant to me, and I thought David Bowie and Marilyn Manson, a lot of these people, what they were doing, I felt like they already covered a lot of this stuff, but it feels like with social justice, we're getting like, we can't talk about sex anymore. I felt like it was a lot easier to talk about this stuff a few years ago.
Yeah.
It's because everyone's, they're sensitive. The political climate, they think everyone who disagrees with them, either conservative or liberal, is either a radical cultural Marxist or a Nazi. There's no, you know, me and you talking here, and maybe we don't agree on everything, I don't know, but we're just talking. That would be a lot better than Foxler Nightfire's a fucking Nazi. Him and his group, the Furry Raiders, are Nazis. And then you have to defend yourself and talk about the shit when you shouldn't have to. That should have never been an accusation. And I love that you're going to talk to Vice and BuzzFeed. BuzzFeed did an article. And you were also...
Yeah, it's just Vice for now, but yeah.
And Rolling Stone, you were in a Rolling Stone article, actually, too.
Yeah, I talked with them, too.
But you said, I asked you if you thought you got misrepresented in any of them, and you said the Vice one was probably the worst one? Or have you done that yet?
No, I did. This will be Vice twice.
Okay.
Maybe a third time, but I would say that, yeah, there's some... I tell this to everybody now that wants to do an interview with me. I said, you know, I don't care about your views. You know, you can portray me as you wish, because you have to make the decision what you write and what you want to push, and those come with consequences. If you want to push whatever direction that you feel suited is going to, you know, make the bucks, because at the end of the day, it's all about making money. You know, that's what they're there for. You know, they're trying to push their ads, they're trying to push their narrative so they can get the followers they want to continue producing revenue. They wouldn't be around if there wasn't revenue. So, you know, that if they can cater to their crowd, they will. And to me, that's why I never got into news. I never was a news person. I was just like, oh, whatever. Oh, people are fighting across the world, whatever. You know.
That's what I always say when the moral arguments come in. When somebody tries to moralize me, they try to tell me, like, well, don't you care about this? I go, if I sat around all day and thought about every bad thing that happens in the world all day, I would never get any fucking sleep. Because literally every second something bad's happening somewhere.
Exactly.
And I can't sit around and think about it all day. It's impossible. Nobody does it. The people who claim they sit around all day and do that aren't doing it. I mean, it's a lie. I don't believe anyone is that good of a person that 99.9% of their life is just to be a vessel. Like, they're Jesus. You know, they think they're Jesus. And it's like, you know, it's like, my name's Aslan, but you can call me Jesus. But it's ridiculous because at the end of the day, nobody's perfect. But I hate moralizing. I like people being able to do whatever they want to do like you, and I don't like people telling other people what they can and cannot do. That's my big thing.
Right.
I hate when other people tell people they can't do something. That drives me crazy. I mean, I want to fight over it sometimes. I hate when people tell other people, you can't do that. Well, who made you the arbiter of morality? Where do you get to decide?
Right.
Have you had any pressure with that? If people try to tell you, "Hey, don't wear the armband,"
all the time. And what's funny, it only comes from furries. It doesn't come from the public. I go in public like this all the time. You know, I go to a mini golf meet. The business owner of the mini golf is like, don't care. Hotels like, I don't care. You know, we're not policing this. This is not going to be policed because it's not hate speech. It's not a hate symbol. It's a paw print. And the general community is going to look at that. The general public's going to look at that and be like, yeah, what do you want me to do about this again? When furries are going, ban him, get rid of him. It's racist. It's bigotry. It's all this. And they're just like...
It reminds me of having tattoos, because I have tattoos, and you still...
really? Cool.
You still get people sometimes that look at you with the stigma. Like, you're, I mean, it doesn't happen a lot. For the most part, people are cool, and it definitely helped my life with women. If I give any guy advice out there wanting to get laid, get tattoos. It's one of those weird things. But when I was out there, yeah, you still get people. Sometimes you'll go somewhere, and most people are cool. Like, hey, nice tattoo. You got Spider-Man tattoo. You know, I have like comic book characters, and but sometimes people, they look at you like they're looking at you like you're like a drug addict or you're like a criminal or something because you have fucking tattoos on your arms, and it's like, I always want to be like, are you retarded? Like, are you stuck in like a whole other dimension where tattoos aren't a mainstream thing in the modern society? Like, a paw print armband, what mindset do you have to get offended by that? You would have to live in a completely delusional world, society, to even somebody who dresses up in a costume and takes on a fursona, you know, I mean, it's ridiculous. It's like, why would you assume that? I'm curious, how many Furry Raiders are there? How big is the group? Is it a big group?
Well, we did a count last week. We try to keep on top of our numbers, and with Telegram, Skype, Facebook, and Discord combined, you know, excluding multiple members in those channels, we're just pushing over 200 right now.
Wow.
It used to be more on Second Life. It almost was 1,000. It was like 960 on Second Life. But that was easier because, you know, it was all one virtual game system and everybody was able to access it. In a sense of this, it's a really big social play because we got to have all these channels that, you know, everybody wants to use. Because not everybody's going to want to use Skype. Not everybody's going to want to use Telegram. Not everybody uses, you know, Facebook. So...
Do you guys ever get together at the conventions? What's the most Furry Raiders you've had together at one time?
One time at any meet or convention, I think was just over about 25 at once. It's not easy.
That seems like a lot for the... Well, that seems like... I'm just trying to give context to people. There's not that many furries, so I'm assuming contextually that's a lot of people to get together in a group.
Well... Kind of. I mean, like, the biggest one, like I said, 25, was at Rocky Mountain Fur Con, and that was about 1,600 people.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's still small, but in a sense, getting together, coordinating, spending the money to travel and all that, that takes a lot. Yeah. Not everybody can do that.
That's the thing I was trying... Yeah, people don't get that. Like, to get that many people together in one place is very tough to do. Very tough to do.
And what I did with RMFC last year, which people gave me shit for, is that I bought a whole bunch of hotel rooms. And I spent almost $7,000 for...
Oh, yeah, they said that you guys were Nazis taking over. I remember reading
taking
about
over
that.
the con by buying hotel rooms. Okay. So the hotel has like 255 rooms, the one we were at. We're at the Crown Plaza in Denver.
Oh, yeah.
And,
I've actually been there.
I bought 35 rooms originally, roughly around there. And that was going to be about 10 G's, and I was like, I was totally cool with this. And then the con comes around and says, why do you have all these rooms? I'm like, I paid for them with the hotel because this is not part of your block. You know, conventions have blocks that they get discounts in. This was outside the block.
Yeah.
I was buying rooms from the hotel directly.
As people know, I've tried to go to Comic-Con in San Diego for many years. Very tough sometimes to get hotel rooms because of blocks and stuff like that. You have to stay in a hotel room with a lot of people at cons. People don't get this. Like, I've stayed in hotel rooms with like 10, 12 people before, just because there was no rooms anywhere else. So booking rooms is so important. So you went out ahead and got rooms because you needed them.
Right, and I was hoping what my goal was. This was my ambition. Was to bring everybody that wanted to come. Like, hey, I'll give you free room for 2 nights, and come join us. I want to spend time with furries that I get along with. And after that, you know, people, the got wind of it, made a big public statement about it, and all furries went fucking haywire. Like, oh my god, you have too many rooms. That's not good. That's bad. You're taking over. I'm just like, so?
Is
There are
that
going to be furries in it.
is that a rule book that you're not allowed to book hotel rooms or something? I didn't know that was a
No.
rule.
There's no rule about that.
Yeah, I didn't know there was a law against that because I thought you were allowed to get the room. I mean, basically, it's a free market capitalist thing. You had the money, you bought the rooms.
Right.
If the people wanted the rooms, they could have paid for the rooms.
If they wanted the room, if they're really desperate for a room, they did what I did, walked into the hotel day one and said, I want to set up an account. I want a corporate contract. I want to be able to have these many rooms. How much is it going to cost me? And the hotel has no problem selling because there's like money guaranteed too. Because once you have an account with them like that and you sign the agreement, you're agreeing that you're going to take these rooms.
Oh yeah.
And that's what they liked. And that's the reason why I got them, because I said, okay, I agree to pay this, and here's my down for it. And when the con got involved, they were like throwing fits about that I had to give up some of these rooms. And when all that news broke out, people were like, well, no, I don't want to get a free room now. It sounds like too much drama. I'm just like, okay. So we did a reevaluation, and we saw that we didn't need 15 rooms anymore because people didn't want to come. So I talked to the hotel. They agreed to amend the contract and give the rest of the rooms back, give it to RMFC instead. So it was a done deal. RMFC got the rooms back. I filled up mine. Everything's over. But unfortunately, furries didn't see it that way. They just completely lost their shit continuously, saying, oh, you should ban them now because they took the rooms. Oh, no, they're Nazis now. You should ban them for that. And it just continued, until we went to the convention, and everybody was there, and nothing happened. Like, people were threatening to hurt us, and nothing happened. And it was totally fine. And the convention board, on the last day of the convention, asked us. They didn't tell us we had to do it. I had a meeting with Soren, the board chair.
Oh yeah, Soren the snow leopard.
Soren. Yeah, and he said, we'd like to ask you to remove the armband. You don't have to. He made it very clear that this wasn't a demand. I wasn't going to get banned if I didn't comply. He said, there's just so much complaints, I can't handle it right now. And I'm like, sure, why not? You gave us some, we'll give you some. Let's compromise. So they let us wear it for the first day and a half, and we decided, okay, fine. You're overwhelmed. I understand. This is a lot to deal with, a lot of drama. No problem, and we did that.
That's actually very nice of you. Both of these things you told me, I wasn't aware of that. I didn't know you gave the rooms back, and I also didn't know you did that. Which, I mean, that's really nice of you because you didn't really have to do that. I
didn't have to, and I did it because I understand that that's tough.
Yeah.
Being part of board and getting all the complaints because you have to listen to everybody.
You do.
And that's crazy. So that's what happened. We took it off and we went our merry way. That's why we weren't banned. And the fact that we are willing to work to a solution that benefits both of us in a sense that gets us to express ourselves and them to get people from losing their mind worked out. So after that, a couple months later, in the February of this year, the complaints would not stop. People were like, you didn't ban him. Why'd you leave? Why'd you let the Nazis stay in the convention? This is horrible. Do something about it. So, you give them, you take an inch, you give them an inch, and they'll take a mile from you. And that's what they did to the convention. They took a mile from the convention and said, we're going to boycott you if you don't do something about this. I'm like, what the fuck? You're going to boycott our convention? And then, so they're pushing this narrative to try to to make the convention swing their way. So the convention did. It made a statement saying the armbands were considered offensive. And we didn't really say much about it. We're just like, okay, well, this is how we're going to play it. In con space, we won't wear the armband. Outside con space, the lobby, the restaurants in the hotel, we are allowed to do what we want. And the hotel has already made it very clear that they are not going to interfere in any of that at all, because there's no wrongdoing going on. And
well, that would be something I think they have no right to do either. I can get a convention, that's a private thing. They can have their own rules.
Right, but
outside, no.
no. So outside con space, you're welcome to do as much as you want until the hotel says no, and until you do something that's going to harm the guests of the hotel or the hotel's property. Aside of that, wearing an armband or wearing a swastika, even, you have the right to do that. And the hotel may bring it up maybe a little bit, but that's a civil rights lawsuit waiting to happen if they start.
Wait, so are you not allowed? Do you guys not wear armbands at the cons anymore then?
It's con by con basis.
Oh, okay.
We don't know their intents until we're there.
Has that happened more than once?
Well, I've personally only been to RMFC.
Okay.
With the armband, so my experience is limited right now about if conventions are going to do anything about it. But we're figuring that out little bit by little.
So I imagine you get some feedback from some of the other raiders at points, don't you, from other places?
Yeah, and it's a mixed bag. Some are like, no, you show up in armband, we're going to remove you from the property. I'm just like, and they're using that scare tactic, like, we're God, we have control over you.
Yeah. And
you do anything wrong, you'll be ostracized and unwelcome. And some furries, even some raiders, they can't handle that. So they feel like they have to comply. And that to me is pretty saddening that they have to.
It's egregious, really. I think it's I really just the fact that, because really the armband, I hate that because it's so. I'm really believing in the Constitution. You guys should have your freedom of expression and freedom of speech, your rights to everything. And it's weird to me that the whole furry community, if it's all about being who you want to be, dressing up in the costumes, I can't believe that they would be the same people. There'd be people in there that aren't accepting of armbands. They seem like they would be the least people that would have an issue with that.
Right, and it's not just in red too. People.
I saw rainbow ones and tie-dye.
Purple, blue, and all of those. So many colors. And it can be, in this patch, the patch that goes on the armband can be placed anywhere. It's just, we produce so many of the armbands because it's easy for us to do that. But we'll give out patches, we'll make other things just to see how the reception is on it. And even if we change the color, if we change the position, you're still a Nazi, apparently, no matter what you do.
I love that, because the LGBT flag is literally a rainbow. So if you have a rainbow paw, that basically could be taken as a, pro-LGBT, and they're still like, no, Nazi.
No. If you're a Furry Raider or you're a Foxler, you're still a Nazi. I'm just like, what the fuck?
So, do you get it a lot still? You get people calling you a Nazi and think that you're a supremacist? There's people who think that because of this whole breakout in the news. I mean, do you get it regularly, or is it something? Because I'm sure a lot of people don't know who you are when you're not in the costume. You're just some guy.
Yeah, I get it a lot still. It's like people keep saying, oh, it'll die down. Don't worry, it'll blow over. No, it just gets worse.
I feared that. I feared that when I made the video, because the reason I made the video was like, listen, I laughed at a lot of the stuff going on, but the main point I was trying to get is like, this guy is not a Nazi, and I'm worried that this narrative's going to spread, and it's not going to stop. Because I've seen this happen before. Once you start something, a lie, it just keeps going, and it spreads until people believe it.
I think what's nice is that the image, the fursuit, the fox, the armband with a paw print, it allows people to become desensitized on the idea of what a Nazi is.
Yeah.
And I think, I don't condone what the Nazis did. I know war in general is pretty bad. I mean, as a country, America ain't any better. Sorry to say, we've done some pretty shitty stuff too.
Yeah.
And the point is, get over it. That's done and over with. We can't control the past anymore. We can only try to prevent being stupid in the future. And I just hate the fact that people still want to bash Germany and the German people for because of the history.
They're hated. They're hated throughout Europe. I can tell you, because I have a lot of friends in Germany, and they tell me that when you travel to other parts of Europe, there is a stigma towards Germans. Still, in a lot of places where there's, they still can't get over the, Europe's tried to avoid nationalism since World War II for that very reason, because they've been in fear of the Nazi thing, and I don't like it either, because Germany, I know it wasn't that long ago. I mean, it really wasn't that long ago contextually, World War II. But, I agree with you. I think that we need to look at it now. It's like, well, those people, just like today, we're not slave owners. Those guys who are living in Germany today, those women, they're not Nazis. They weren't born into Nazi Germany. They weren't raised with that. Now, if you were to say maybe, Russia, they still have a lot of communism over there. They still have a lot of stuff going on. But even Russia, I think, gets stigmatized as a bad guy. They're not quite. I think a lot of countries get that. They get this.
No, Russia, right now, like, Russia is a perfect example. Everybody keeps saying the Russians and this and that, and Russians are bad. No, really, truthfully, there's even Russian furries. I mean, it's not, I don't think, it's just that you're not giving the opportunity to step in their shoes. That's the point.
They're people.
Is North Korea, yeah, they're people. Is, like, people are going to say, oh, North Korea's bad. I'm like, truthfully, North Korea is just misguided. That's all. People aren't bad. It's one person, one dictator that's making the image so bad. But if you're smart enough, you can get past that and say, okay, what do we do with the dictator? How do we deal with that one person that everybody's loyal to? And the best thing is to be honest, to show them the rest of the world, and people will slowly start changing, even if they're being suppressed by a more powerful government. So
those are well-founded words. You have to win the battle of ideas, not with force. You have to win through intellectual discussion and conversation with people. I actually, I'm not a Trump rah-rah guy, but one thing that I agree with Donald Trump, and I agreed with him on, was that we can't keep labeling Russia as this evil Cold War bad guy. We're not going to go anywhere in the future. We're not going to deal with any problems on a geopolitical level if we keep living in the Cold War. And one day Russia could be like Japan, where they're thriving economically and stuff because they completely embrace capitalism and Western values. I want every country to benefit together. I don't want to be in this. I don't want to live in an outdated mindset. I'm like you. I'm like, well, hey, I've been to other places, and most of the time there's shitty people everywhere, and there's good people everywhere, and it's basically a roll of the dice whether you're going to run into shitty people or good people. You never know.
Oh yeah, and to even make it more, I want to say, I always said that, we are just a speck on God's ass. I want to use that metaphorically. If you want to think about it, America, Western civilization is just a speck on the world. In a sense, even so we assume that we're great and powerful. I traveled myself too, and I've been, my mother's Thai, my dad was German, and I've had a chance to absorb different cultures, and literally, mainland United States, pretty normal. We it's not that diverse in a sense of the cultural aspect. I mean, It is diverse in a sense, but it's still America.
There's an American culture. People don't want to talk about it, but there really is an American. The secularism, the embrace of pop culture, capitalism. There is an American culture. We were on the internet before anyone else. We were always at the center of those. I mean, white people in America invented the internet. I mean, that's I'm not 100% sure on that. But what I'm trying to say is that we got mainland. Then I went to Hawaii. I go to Hawaii, and it's a little bit different, I would say. And no offense to Hawaiians, or people that live in Hawaii, but it felt like Long Beach and L.A., just more ghetto. But I gotta say, when I went to Hawaii, I ran into a bunch of people that were just con artists, tourists who were trying to get money from every single thing I did while I was there.
But it's mixed. The point is that it's already a step to being different, even if it's in the United States. And then you go further out. I went to Japan for a few days before I went to Thailand. And then you're completely 180. And, Asian culture, in a sense, they don't see Nazism as this horrible thing because it's not part of their history. So, because it's not part of their history, per se, the swastika is not something they get all fucking tossy
Yet they
turny
blur
about.
out pubic hair on porno. It's a weird one.
Yeah, yeah. So that gets a little weird, right? And so Japan was like, to me, was like the mix of really Asian and American culture together. And I
It
was just
is.
kinda
It
like,
is. It's a
it is, but-
stepchild of both cultures. It's Eastern and Western culture slapped together in this weird way. And it's the juxtaposition of it's amazing in Japan. That's why I really like Japan. Is that it's got all these Eastern things, but it's got all these Western things. And you're like, what the fuck? This is crazy. Like,
Well, yeah. To me, I really don't like it. I really just want like hardcore. So I went from Japan to Thailand, which is my mom's from.
yeah,
And that was a 360 right there, because now I have really no Western culture going on. I mean, there is there, but it's still like, the point is, you go to Bangkok, you're in the inner city, it's very westernized, and then literally you take a step out of the city limits, and it's completely different. Like literally, it's night and day. You go from high-end restaurants, banks on the floor, this the Amtrak train going through it, all this, and then you step slightly outside the city limits of the inner city, and everything is just completely different. You're on you instead of just actual taxis like you'd see in New York, you're literally riding on back of motorcycles. They get rides back and forth. They call them tuk-tuks. So these little like ghetto-looking mopeds with little like two seats on the back. And then you go even further out, like to Phuket or the northern area, and you're in a completely different world, where there is no Western influence that much. I mean, yeah, the rich, they do have that, but the general middle class of Thailand was not like that, and you had to learn how to be socially different completely. And I got that same thing. Like people are like, "Oh, you're an American. How cute is that?" And they're trying to speak in the broken English because I don't know how to speak Thai.
yeah.
And I'm just like, "Oh my God, get me out of here."
Yeah, the closest I know to speaking Thai is when I order Thai food at restaurants, and that's about as far as it goes, because I like Thai food. That's about it.
And and that's the thing. I know that I was the oddball there, and to me, it's hard to be respectful to someone's other culture when you don't know it, and it's hard.
That's very true, and people don't say that enough. When you don't understand it, how the fuck are you supposed to like respect it? Because respect comes from understanding. Because you earn respect,
Yeah, yeah. And my mother's telling me, this is how you greet people, and you don't touch the head, don't do that. You're sitting there learning how to be respectful in that culture, and I would say that this applies everywhere, because no matter where you go, you need to figure out how to adapt, and that's the problem when you have the internet and you have this social media. You don't know how to do that. You're just going to push your narrative and say, oh, because I live here, this is the right thing. Well, you don't live over here, so you don't know what it's like. So, I can get why people treat people differently on the internet, because the fact that they feel in their bubble that nothing is wrong.
yeah.
Because they're not there. They're here. So, in a sense, I'm out to go test it. I really, because like people say, the Middle East is this horrible place, and ew, you're gonna get killed and all this, and I'm like, I won't know until I go there what it really is like. The news cannot portray the reality of actually having your feet on there and experiencing every little piece of the puzzle.
You're really right in the fact that because I can't, just even in America, right? I grew up in the South, and I don't really have an accent. Some people think I'm from New York for some reason. I don't know why.
Chicago, maybe.
Yeah, but I'm from the South, and down there, my mother burned it into me. It's this big thing down there. You have to call people sir and ma'am. It's just this thing in the South. You call if you go to a restaurant.
I noticed that.
Yeah, and I moved to the North, and nobody does it. Nobody where I'm living at now does it. So it's burned into me. I can't unprogram it. So when I still go places, I say to people like, "Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am," and people just look at me weird all the time. Or little inflections, like in the South, I'd say where it's like chunk. I'm going to chunk something. Nobody in this area has ever heard anyone say that. When I said chunk something, I'm like, what? And I just noticed it's like, wow, even in America we have little differences like that. complete cultural differences just based off areas. Like even in the South, when I lived down there, people would call soda Coke. They wouldn't call it. They would just say Coke. They would say, "I'm gonna have a Coke." When they drink Dr. Pepper, they would call it a Coke. Yet when I come up north, people all call it soda pop. They'll say pop. They go, "Hey, can I get pop?" And I go, "Huh." So I went from Coke to pop. Very confusing. So I don't know what the fuck to call soda anymore. I'm just like, I don't know. It's fucking soda.
You just gotta mention the brand name. That's same issue in Hawaii. You know, they kind of do the same thing. So I have to mention, I'd rather, you know, I don't know what brand they have available. So I'm just like, well, a Pepsi or a cola, please. You know, one of the two, whatever you got.
No, it's like a state-by-state basis. It seems like it all changes, right? Like, how are you supposed to talk? I mean, there's a difference between how you would have to talk in every vernacular in New York City to Chicago. There is a Chicago accent. There is a Chicago way of speaking. There is a New York way. There's a Boston. And it's weird because we're all these bastardizations of European culture. The settlers came over. And it's kind of crazy because we're still seeing that all these different I mean, America really is multicultural. It's just people don't. They like to think we're not because we have you know, the government and the Constitution way. But it's like, really, if you go across this country, you'll see many different facets of life.
Yeah, I mean, I'm from California.
Yeah.
You know, I was born in Long Beach, and you know, right next to Compton. You know, so you know, everybody's like, "Oh, you're a gangster. You're a gang. You're fucking part of the Cribs and
fuck
shit."
the police. Fuck
the police.
Fuck.
Yeah. You know, and I'm just like, have you been to California? I mean, you go one inner city over, and it's like, oh, there's a whole other thing going on. And you know, you got the Cribs and the Bloods over there, Tortilla Flats, you know, SM12 and all that shit in different fucking regions, and everybody acts differently.
No, it's true. If you go to Austin, Texas, it is not the same as being in East Texas. If you go to if you go to West Texas, it is not the same as being in North Texas. If you go to some parts in Florida, it's not like other parts of Florida. There's some states that kind of get around it because they have just so many different kinds of people that it becomes just kind of like a state of just too many, you know, like California and Texas, I've been to both. They have a lot of similarities in the fact that they have so many diverse people there. They have a lot of Asians, Black, and Hispanic population. A lot. Yeah. And there's a lot of work there, and it's a warm area, so people move there a lot to get the work. But there's so many different types, like, there's the different types of Californians, and there's the different types of Texans, and you have to live in those states to really understand it, because you just go to a different part of the state, and everything's different. It's like,
yeah, and if you really want an experience, just go to Alaska, and you just realize, oh my god.
Oh god, I'm gonna get raped in an igloo. No one's gonna be able to do anything. I mean,
my god,
we could go and dress up as polar bears, and walk through. That'd be pretty cool. Just then now could talk about us.
People think, you know, Alaska is some, you know, frontier of just people that, you know, and really, to be truthfully, if you're within the city, it's still pretty American, and then when you're way out there in the middle of nowhere, then you know you're freezing your butt off.
Dude, you've been to Canada?
I've been to Canada a few times.
I've had a thing there where the people, I know it's a stereotype, but they are insanely nicer in my experiences. Social interaction is completely different in my experience of Canadian people. Like, some of them were French-leaning on some parts are a little, because the French can be assholes sometimes. But the actual Canadians, you know, like, even the cops I had a cop pull me over there, was much nicer than an American cop. Like, I mean, he came up like, "Hey, how you doing? You doing okay? All right, cool. All right, just making sure you're all right now." And then it's like, man, what the fuck? Like, you know, it's like, this is so weird.
You know, the only complaint I have about, because I've driven through Canada, the only complaint I have, they don't label their speed signs with kilometers an hour.
Oh, I know.
You know how, I know,
dude.
I was trying to do 75 on the highway when I was like, wait, that's 75 kilometers an hour. Okay, wait a minute. But
no, I go to Jersey. Jersey has no fucking, like, Jersey's nothing but left turns. Like, it's like, that's all New Jersey. Like, I have to drive through Jersey sometimes to get here. I'm like, oh my god, Jesus fuck, and you can't turn right on red anywhere, so you're always stuck, and it sucks. And there's one ways everywhere you go. There's only one way, so you can't back up anywhere. It's like, man, because I was used to living in Texas where it's all kind of just straight shot roads everywhere. It's pretty simple to get places. The ground's flat. But places up north where they have all this mountains and it's like, god damn, Fuck yeah.
Well, and and I like to like throw the whole family card in. Both my mother's side and my father's side. My father's side is very southern, Alabama. Normally we're from. They're second generation German, American Germans, whatever. But it's the fact that they're very southern. Most of the family, Tennessee, Kentucky.
Yeah.
I've had experience with that. My mom's side, really diverse. California, New York, Thailand especially, and a couple live in Switzerland. So I've been in all those areas, and it's like, it's even so they're all supposedly Asian. It's like this multicultural thing going on, and I can't adapt to either or, because all the kids are in the modern big cities, and the parents are still, in Cali or in Thailand, and then you got some that are rogued out and in Switzerland, and you go to Switzerland and you gotta be like, huh?
So
What am I supposed to do?
have you had issues at all with being an Asian? Have you ever dealt with racism at all? Has there ever been an issue in your life that's been somebody judged you off being Asian or assumed something about you off being Asian? Or...
I would have to say there was only one place that happened. And,
Okay.
we haven't touched into the school life at all, but before furry, yes, school kids would be very racist. But these are kids, man. They're going to say whatever fucking shit their parents push on them, whatever they see in media. Oh, yeah, you got the little squinty eyes. They're going to do that. That's just that's fine, whatever. Once I got into high school, everybody hated on furry because I was open about it. So that's the only thing I've had problems with. Me being Asian, me being part Asian, part German, nobody cared. Nobody cared. Nobody cares right now. My neighbor doesn't care. I mean, if they do, they're not saying anything about it.
Yeah, and secretly they hate you. They're throwing darts at a picture of you. Fucking
No,
Foxler.
they're gonna really hate me when I decide to get a bronze statue of myself and of my persona, and my wang is hanging out.
Oh,
And I call it art.
No, I can't wait for that. No, Lena Dunham special. It's gonna be
Be
terrific.
like, I'm Foxler, and they're just sitting there with sheath and all that, and they're just like, my neighbors are like, burn it.
No, it'll be Coxler that day.
Foxler.
What gets me here? Yeah, I like school thing. Now, I read about. Now, I don't know if this is true. It said that early on in your life you were having identity issues, and you went to look into neo-Nazis on a forum, but you didn't know what a neo-Nazi was, and they told you to leave because you were gay and half Asian.
And furry.
Yeah, and furry. Yeah, all three of those things together, they didn't like. And told you to get the fuck out, right? That's what I read. I don't know.
That's what happened. Because I was a high school dropout, literally, first couple months, because I went to high school because I was homeschooled for a few years. I went right into high school and I said, I'm furry. They're like, what is that? I'm
Same
like,
here. I was homeschooled too. Yeah.
And they're just like, oh, we hate that. And then it turned into this huge drama fest. Like, it was identical to the SJW drama you see in the furry fandom. Identical. And it was, oh, you're a dog fucker, you're a rapist, you're a sexual deviant, you're all these damn things, and we want you out of the school. And that's all the students were pushing for that. And if they didn't get their way, they would spray paint my car, they would try to beat me up, and I said, fuck you all. And then the administration got involved. My English teacher pretty much booted me out because she said, write a creative story about your life experience. So I wrote a story about meeting my first mate on Furcadia when I was 13.
Yeah.
And it was a romantic story. It wasn't sexual. And she flipped out like, oh my god, crossing tails is sexual. I'm just like, no, you don't know the context. And, I'm not no great writer. I suck at it. So, maybe it didn't message through that well, but
I'm upset to hear that because a lot of people cater to transgender students or gender fluidity and all that now.
Well, you have to understand 10 years ago.
Yeah, no, it was a different time. No, today you would probably be loved in high school as a furry.
Yeah, I probably would be everyone would be like, oh, it's so cool.
Yeah.
And no, back then it was like, yeah, faggot.
No, I remember the early 2000s, late, and it was a different time. Early mid 2000s.
Oh yeah, so anybody that's like under 25,
I lived in Texas, dude. I got paddled You know, they still had capital punishment. I mean, they still got paddled by teachers at school up until ninth grade. They would paddle you. You know, they take you out in the hallway with the paddle and whoop your ass, and you're like, this is weird. Like, I tell people about it, and they're like, they did that? I go, yeah, I don't know. It was very strange. I felt like I was in that Pulp Fiction Gimp scene over and over again. But yeah, people don't realize a lot's changed, and that's why I don't like the social justice movement, because they think everything's worse now, and they don't realize organically things have gotten better. Gay marriage and a lot of those things that has gone through happened organically, because through time people became more accepting of things.
Right, and
it's
like
happened recently. Like the Satanic Panic stuff in the 90s is gone now. That stuff that was rampant in the 90s, like Christian propaganda, it's pretty much dead, and the majority of youth in this country is leaning atheist. It's not leaning Christian. And statistics show this. And it's like, well, that's happened within like 15 years. And
even so, there's Christian furries, I have to admit.
Well, yeah, anyone. I mean, I could say that somebody's religious backgrounds never bothered me once in my life. I've had issues in a religious setting with people, but I've never had issues with a person being religious.
Yeah, same here. I mean, well, the only person I've had an issue with religion is my grandmother, but that's expected.
Yeah, sometimes you're going to have those that you can't, but...
Yeah, you know, she's your grandmother. She's going to push the Bible right in your face. You're just like, oh, no, I'm okay.
Well, as long as you're, like, not an asshole about it and you're a decent person, I don't give a shit if you believe in some book from thousands of years ago that was written by dudes. I don't, you can...
Yeah, when you're 9 years old, you're going to be like, I don't want to read that.
Yeah.
I don't want to know about Jesus.
Yeah. I don't care about Jesus! I want to know. Okay, so let me ask, a movie like, let's say, Zootopia, is that something furries really like because of the fox character and the bunny character being like humanoid animals type of
I think
way?
the whole idea of the Zootopia's world of being, anthropomorphic is what brought the furries into it. And actually what was kind of creepy, furries dug into that pretty heavy. And I mean, I was a big fan of just when I first heard about it a few years ago before it came out.
Well, the movie made $1 billion, and I thought, I was like, this just shows how popular this really is, and people don't want to talk about it. Like, the people are into this, like seeing the animal, because it did look cool. Like, the bunny and fox looked great. I really thought the way they were designed was terrific. I
have no doubt that Disney understood their market. They knew that animals were going to sell.
Yeah.
And they wanted to cater to. And here's the thing: there's been statements from parent companies that work for Disney to advertise to furries too. So they knew the market. They just don't. They're obviously, as the family-friendly company they are, they're never going to admit which side they're on or what they're trying to do. But in a sense, they knew that the whole animal movement is like this huge thing about everybody liking cute, cuddly animals. They're going to profit on that, and that's the reason why we haven't seen anything like Zootopia in a long while.
That's why I wanted to point out. I thought that when I saw the movie, I thought this is something I haven't seen in a long time. Like exactly what you just said. I was like, this is going to a market. And the movie was a huge success. I mean, it won Best Animated Feature. It made $1 billion. I mean, it's one of the highest-grossing original films ever made. And to me, it was like, yeah, this is. I mean, they could make 3 or 4 of those. It's kind of like the way that Toy Story made toys, kind of something new. I think they're going to do that with the animal thing, because it's like, I'd say the bunny and fox character, they became iconic. It's like this cop duo, and I really like because they actually tied into the movie that their personalities, who they were as an animal, was part of who they were. They kind of had a fursona in a sense. Like, people had stereotypes based off him being a fox and her being a rabbit, and that was the movie. It was part of the storyline, so it was like, okay, now you're really going there.
They went there, and I had to say that on a personal level, I really connected with the movie. I was waiting several years for it to come out. I planned a whole event. I bought out a theater, 135 seats, and I said, furries, come watch it for free with us. I want to see Zootopia with all the furry friends, because I wanted to feel like we were a community together enjoying something, and that was a pretty big expense. But when they first opened up the scene of Zootopia when Judy Hopps was on the train, I felt like this warm feeling, like, oh, this would be the world I want to live in.
Yeah.
And then when
yeah, like if you could actually be, if you could be Foxler, like completely, and this whole world was all these people like this. I mean, that's what it seemed like. Like this is that movie because they had them wearing clothes and, you know, they had human features and they were living like humans. They weren't living like animals. Essentially, they were doing, but there was animal elements, and I was like, yeah, this is like furry. This is like the Citizen Kane Star Wars Godfather of the furry. When I was thinking, I was like, this is the like magnum opus furry movie. Because it has everything. Especially, I guess, for you, because one of the main characters is a fox.
Well, yeah, actually, I have to admit, when we were doing the Zootopia screening, a private screening for furries, when we got to the scene of young Nick Wilder when he was trying to join the whatever, I forgot the name of the scout.
Yeah.
The woodchuck scout, yeah. You know, and he got muzzled, you know, and was beaten up. I started crying, and I could hear other people in the theater doing the same thing because I related. I was as a young fur when I was a teenager, I was treated like that, and it just felt like, oh my God, you know, I understand why Nick is the way he is, you know, why his character is like he has this hard shell around him all the time, and he doesn't allow himself to become emotionally compromised. And a lot of furries are like that. They don't want to be emotionally compromised. They put on this hard shell, and they stick into their own little world because they don't want to leave what's comfortable anymore. And I think that's one of the big issues that's starting to happen, is that you get the furries that are not ready to deal with the real world, and then, you know, Foxer and the Furry Raiders come out, and they try bringing everybody in, and they're just like, no, that's too much for me, you know? So I can see why people can be attached to movies like that, because it really just shows the reality of what real life is about. It's not just, you know, pretty sparkles and everybody gets along and there's a hero. I mean, Zootopia was not even close to anything that Disney was trying to do. I mean, the last Disney film I could think of that had similar characteristics was Lion King. Everything else was just like happy goodness and nobody's getting hurt.
Well, no moral grayness either. No, like, well, this person isn't necessarily totally good or bad. They're kind of in the middle. Like the sheep character. You get her motivations for why she's doing what she's doing. But she's also doing something
but then you didn't even
with.
know it was going to be her.
Yeah.
Like, she looks so innocent.
Yeah, it plays with your perception of people, the movie does, while it's talking about it. Because you assume, oh, well, she's the cute little innocent sheep. She wouldn't do anything bad. And meanwhile, she's been the bad character the whole time. And you haven't seen it because you're too busy looking at, like, oh, it's probably the lion mayor. Because he's lion.
He's a predator. You know, he would do something like that.
I'm glad you told me that, because when I saw that movie, I thought this probably... I'm glad you told me you, like, cried, because I thought this movie... I thought that when I saw it, I said, this movie probably has this weird emotional impact with furries, but I didn't want to assume that. But I'm glad you told me it did on you, because I thought, yeah, this is the only movie I've seen that actually... In a sense that there's not a lot of transgender movies and stuff like that. There's not really movies for furries. That's the closest I've ever seen to there being a furry film, was Zootopia, right. Where it's like, okay, this is a film for this community... It talks in the voice of the community. It gets it, you know. And it doesn't pander to it. Which I thought was the best part. There was no pandering in Zootopia. Yeah, it sucks you still get the Nazi thing. Are you scared that it's going to cause you to, like, not be able to go to conventions or anything? Are you worried that they're going to try to keep you away from events? Because if they're mad that you're booking hotel rooms and shit, I mean, are they just going to yell at you whenever you do anything? Like, oh, he's holding a Zootopia screening, Nazi.
Yeah, I mean, the Zootopia screening was the first presentation of Foxer in a fursuit. So it went from day one was like, oh my God, you did such a great movie, hugs. And then the next day I see tweets saying, I hugged a Nazi, I feel so violated. I'm just like,
holy shit.
What? So, yeah, that's exactly what happened. And then it just blew up from there. And then we dug into everything about me, you know, taking, you know, screenshots from 10 years ago from my live journal and stupid shit. You know, when you're a teenager, you say stupid shit all the time.
Definitely. I say stupid shit now.
I know, it's like, I say stupid shit now. But the thing is that, okay, this is evidence now. like, okay, I'm a dog fucker because I wrote some, some live journal event that talking about, oh, it'd be nice to, get kisses from my dog. I mean, dogs do that in general. Puppies will lick fucking everything.
Well, I don't
You
think
know,
people
they
want to talk about the distinction here between fucking animals and fucking humans in an animal costume. Consent. You're not going to have
Yeah.
sex with it. Animals can't give consent. They're not going. That dog can't tell anyone if it wants to have. That's why bestiality's wrong, because you're doing something an animal can't agree to. We don't know if it will or not. A human being, if
Right.
two consenting adults want to have sex, that's it. That's as far as it goes. The discussion shouldn't go further than that.
But there's also zoophiles, furries
Yeah.
that are interested in the feral side of the animal. They're interested in the sexual aspect of that. Doesn't mean they practice it. It's just they have interest in it. But furries like to ridicule them for that too. Say, oh, you're an animal fucker because of that. And oh yeah, if a fox, okay, so if a fox could actually give consent, or a wolf or whatever, and they could speak to me, and would I be in a relationship with one? Absolutely. But
I love
that's
that you
just
said that. I love you said that. I was like, is he gonna say it? Yes. Awesome. No, that's great. No, I'm glad you're so honest about it, because that's what I wanted to hear. I was like, yes, because I think a lot of people feel that way about stuff and they wouldn't say it. And it's not a fucked up thing to say because you explain the context. If it could speak and talk and have cognitive thought and tell me and have feelings, then it's not. Then it's close enough to your species that makes sense mentally.
Yeah, communication is the big thing. Because,
Language.
Yeah, language. The thing is that I wrestled with this thought years ago when I was a teenager. I'm like, I'm seeing this bestiality. I'm just like, it's interesting. It would be different, yes, but the animal can't tell me they love me. That bothers me, because they can't tell me that. I don't want that. I mean, I have huskies, and they've become the royal pain in my ass now because they're dogs.
Yeah.
And my life is completely just evolving around husky all day, and I'm just like, I don't want dogs anymore. And that's coming from a furry. I don't want dogs anymore.
No,
And
I get what you're
that's
saying.
a
Well, the thing about it is that people don't get that with animals, there's a communication gap that's frustrating that you're never going to be able to cross. Because as close as you could feel to them and as intimate as you can get with them talking to them, it's just like they're still an animal. They still have that limitation that they're never going to be able to get to. With evolution, they just can't. They're not going to catch up. And you're sitting there and you go, damn it, I just want to be able to communicate this goddamn thing to you so you could fucking get it. And it's not like I wish you could just understand so you could get, I've always wanted to say to my animal, if you just knew how much I liked you and you cut out your bullshit, we would get along so much better. But you don't know. I can't explain to you what you're doing because you don't know any better. And I can't get mad at you because, you're like a kid. You don't know. But I think...
Yeah, that's the thing. And that's the thing when it comes to also furries that dip into the idea of having a relationship with an animal. It's like, but they can't love me back. They can't support me. They can't make me feel better when I'm depressed, that...
Well,
and
it would
that
be
thing,
shallow and almost borderline a little weird if you wanted to just have sex with an animal, because the emotional attachment's part of what makes us human.
right?
And to eliminate that, to me, would make it just like you just want to fuck the animal for some aesthetic reason, and that's weird to me when it's the sexuality for the sake of it. It's like that's why I don't think sex robots are going to work. There's always that theory that sex robots are going to take over, because I think men generally, part of the reason that you like getting laid, a lot of men, is that they get the girl. That's part of the success is when you're sleeping with the girl. It's a girl you really liked and pined over for a long time, and then she's with you, and she's looking at you. You're not going to get that with the sex robot. It's going to be an artificial experience, and I don't think people think about that. It's only a fleeting thing. That's why you can only enjoy those things for a little bit, but they're not long-term, because intimacy is something that's created through communication. I could have sex with a sex doll, but that's not going to be an intimate situation because we're having sex. Because she's not saying anything.
Well, that's a big issue with furry, too. You actually pinned it right on the nail. Because of the fact that people have external identities, it's hard to also understand the context in which the people you're speaking with. Because the thing is that you could have a furry that's dressed up and all that and puts on a show because that's who he is. And then you fall in love with that, and then when he takes off his head and becomes his normal self, he's completely different. You're just like, oh, I don't want that. What mistake did I just make? So, that the thing is that that's the reason why the furries always, people always complain that furries have so much relationship drama because of that. Communication between people are so bad when it comes to furries because they're always trying to figure out each other. Is it the persona you or the non-persona you?
Yeah.
And I never liked that.
I could see that being, because that doesn't exist in a lot of facets in life where you have to worry about the two versions of someone. But in that community, I didn't think about that. Yeah, that would be a thing completely, because the struggle with intimacy would be, what are you getting intimate with? Are you getting intimate with the persona or with the person underneath? Or
and
is
some
it the
people,
same?
some furries don't like that. They'd rather be intimate for themselves and not the furry side. Not everybody's on the same page, and I'm not on the same page, but
Yeah.
it's the fact that they are different. It makes it even more difficult to have a relationship because you really have to test it. And I've been through almost 20 relationships.
So you've had a hard time as a furry being in a stable, long-term relationship. You've had a lot of...
Well, I've been... It really depends on the person.
Yeah.
A lot of furries like to be open. They like to be poly. They like to sleep with a lot of people because sex, drive it. Intimacy, constant intimacy is nice, but not everybody's like that. And I'm not like that. I like to be with one person all the time.
Yeah, me too.
And it was hard to find that because, they say, oh, I'll be your mate forever, and then, 2 weeks later, I'm sleeping with someone else. It's just like, ugh. And most of it was online, didn't mind that, so it was gonna happen. But I've had some real-life relationships, and I noticed that age is a big thing. So younger furries, even when you're young, it's like, oh my god,
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my god, why am I dating this?
Yeah,
this
youth is youth scary.
Youth. But then, I did find some that are older. When I was 16, I was dating a 28-year-old, and she was part furry, but she wasn't hardcore about it. And I stayed with her for 10 years. There was some off and on a little bit because she's not the emotional type, so that was a big problem for me. I wanted emotion. I wanted to be told, oh, I love you, but she would never say it. Never once. She'd say it to me first. I had always the one to say it first. That drove me up the wall.
Yeah.
And I thought after the Furry Raider thing collapsed on Second Life that we would be together forever. And I go visit her because she lived in Oregon. I did visit her twice a year, 3 times a year. I came in with this suit one day. She literally shut the door and didn't talk to me and say why she was breaking up with me. Just disappeared.
Wow.
And I'm just like, what the fuck did I do? And I was so heartbroken.
Yeah.
And then and I was just like, we spent all this time together. We slept with each other, and I show up slightly different, and you knew about it. You've seen it, and I come to your door because I'm just trying to be cute. Something that you can connect to because we always were foxes together. But then, goodbye.
No,
and
I can tell you right now, if I didn't even know you and you knocked on my door and I opened it and you were dressed like that, I'd be like, you get in here right now. We're playing some video games or something. You get in here. I got Monopoly going.
Yeah, so that was pretty difficult. That's how I found Cody. Cody Wolf, my current mate.
Is he the guy in the pictures that's blue? Kind of
he's the blue wolf
with the kind of a spike hair. He's okay. I gotta say his persona is actually very cute. You're a very cute couple.
But, well, to be honest, that's not how I saw him originally. I was very picky furry, and I'm picky just because I comprehend things a little differently.
Yeah.
Furries that have unnatural colors confuse me because there's no blue wolf in the real world, so it's hard to relate. I can't visually see them as a blue wolf. It's so hard.
No, that makes sense. I get what you mean.
So when I saw Cody for the first time, I'm like, God, I'm not getting along with that. And but and he was into BDSM, and I wasn't super thrilled about it. I was just like, nah, I'm really vanilla. No. And then his personality, him being devoted to a lot of things won me over, and I just kind of like, as much as I'm gonna have to learn to open up to these new fetishes, I'm gonna have to learn to be more accepting to different things. Having someone that's gonna be there for you, no matter how hard it becomes, is more valuable than anything. So that's how we got together. That's how he was ridiculed for joining the Furry Raiders originally, and then he left the Raiders, and then people still gave him shit. Oh, he's a Nazi, even so he's African American, and he just got to the point where nobody wanted to be his friend anymore. And
so
then
you're a diverse couple. You're half Asian and he's black, and they accused the group of being Nazis.
Well, he's also half Asian and black too.
And you're gay couple, so that's like even like you guys hit all the benchmarks for like SJWs. Like you hit all like they shouldn't mess with you guys. I thought you guys got a pass. I guess not. I thought if you like fell into
we're the minority.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I
like, what are you talking
about? I'm looking at some of your tweets here, and like I said, some of the things you said. Always be yourself and never let anyone change you. Forever and always furry. Thanks to everyone and the alt furry for the support. It seems like that you seem to have a community mindset. You embrace other people as long as they're not being assholes.
Pretty much. I mean, the alt furries were not assholes to me. That's why I said thank you for continuously saying, I'm with you. I don't care about these SJWs. They can go shut a pie hole. They weren't aggressive towards me. They didn't treat me any different, and that's what I wanted. And that's the reason why I thanked them. And I love how many people jump on that tweet and say, "Oh, see, he's an alt-right. He's an alt furry," because he hashtagged them. I'm like, you don't know what a compliment is?
Well, all I got from the alt fury is that it seems like they're a group of furries who are trolling SJWs by being the alt fury. Unless I'm wrong, unless they actually are like alt-right. But it seems to me like they're trolling. I don't know. From everything they seem like Pepe, Kekistan type people.
I would say it's a mixed bag. Some are really serious. Some are not. Some are trolls. Some are wanting to change things.
Yeah.
And that's okay. Like, in a sense, I know some that are extremely racist. I know some that don't even care. It really just depends on the person, and that's individual levels that you need to take. I can't judge all of alt furry just because they assume that they're racists or assume to be bigots. No, I have to treat everybody as an individual. I need to literally talk with everybody to see where they stand, and not everybody I agree with.
Yeah.
The leader. There's two leaders of the alt furry right now, QQ and the Fur Right. Those are the two big players right now in those groups. QQ, I'm just gonna, if QQ watches this, no offense to you, QQ, but to me, externally, you look like a young 20-year-old playing games and making YouTube videos. That's all you're good at. No offense, okay? Now, I'm not bashing you. I always will support for what you're doing, but you don't strike me as a person that's going to lead a movement of any kind. And then, like, the Fur Reich, he seems more, he seems more like the type of person that's just pretty much sick of the bullshit, He was also into, for him, he's a writer.
Yeah.
And he wrote some World War II Nazi anthropomorphic erotica stuff, I think, or whatever. I don't know what it was. I never read the book.
That sounds amazing.
Right. I never read the book. I'm sorry, for I don't read. But he made a story, okay, and it's dealing with anthropomorphic animals. That's his. And to him, that's his creative release. That's fine, whatever. But that makes him a Nazi, apparently. Oh my God. And so he decided, enough was enough. He dealt with the bullshit when he released his book, and now furries are taking the shitstorm even further because of me and wearing the armband. So he's like, enough's enough. He said to a lot of people that he's gonna do something about it, and he's gonna get people together and try to solve this problem. And he doesn't agree with a lot of the furries. he's against the whole baby fur ancestral age play stuff that goes on, and I understand. It's his opinion. Personally for me, being around all types of diverse things, I enjoy a lot of age play. I like being called daddy. But and he doesn't agree with that. But we still can get along. We can still hang out and talk about stuff and be like, yeah, I don't agree with that. I don't agree with this. So he's ready to take action from the sound of it, and he got labeled for there was another convention BS with Cali Fur. He wasn't supportive of the baby fur panel that was happening there, so he spoke up about it, and then people were starting to fight each other again, and the SJWs got involved, and I think threats were made back and forth, so the panel got canceled, and then SJWs got on top of that even further and canceled the BDSM panel, saying it promotes rape. I'm like,
Jesus. No,
I know.
I no, rape culture is one of my biggest pet peeves because my entire life I've never seen a movie, a TV show, read anything where like it was pro-rape. It's pretty much my whole life. It's been like, yeah, that's a bad thing. But it's one of the feminist arguments, like, man, this is promoting rape. I'm like, not many people promote rape. That's not a very common thing that people do. They don't go around like, oh, I'm going to get a lot of people to support my pro-rape rally. It's kind of stupid. I look at another one of your tweets here. Dealing with SJW and PC Furries is like trying to nail Jello to the wall. Just going to end up all over the place.
Yeah.
What was the mindset when you wrote that tweet? Were you just in a like fuck this mood, or was it?
I was kind of a fuck like this mood because it's like, so I was just like, God damn, what would be the most stupidest thing I could do right now? And I saw a bowl of Jello, and I'm like, try and nail that to the wall. Yeah, I think that term was probably used before, and it just kind of came to mind. And I was just like, that's exactly what I'm dealing with. These SJW pieces are all over the place. They're like, it'd be me trying to do that. It was just like it wouldn't work. I mean, it's just gonna fall off and get messy, and it's just it's.
I see another Twitter conversation here. I don't know how to say his name. Beiler. No one is telling you to stop being a fox or a furry, Foxler. What we are saying is we want the Nazi-esque imagery to go away. Not you, the imagery. And then you said, you can PN me, I'm done here. And somebody said, look, even the ex-Furry Raider who's known to have been close to you for 15 years managed to build an entire persona without dressing up as a Nazi. It's not that hard, Foxler. Wow, people said this shit to you? This is so condescending. They're talking to you like you're a moron. Like you don't know what a Nazi uniform looks like, or that you don't know, like, even though your uniform looked nothing like a Nazi uniform.
Yeah, they just want to throw this thing, we don't want to be related. Because they're worried about their image. They're worried about, I'm not going to be liked. People are not going to hug me anymore because we're related to Nazis and stuff. I'm just like...
Well, I don't know why they think the iconography is a Nazi, because it just doesn't look it to me.
I mean, even if it's close, the point is that you kept pushing that narrative. It wasn't me preaching that I'm a Nazi. It wasn't me going out saying, Sieg Heil this and that. They pretty much was continuously saying, you're a Nazi, you're bad, and I want everybody to know you're horrible. And guess what? What effect is that? You try to shut someone down, try to get rid of them, and it just ends up making them popular and well known. It's kind of what happened to me.
You had a Milo Yiannopoulos situation. They tried to shut you down like at Berkeley, and then you just got more popular, and people took your side. A lot of people on the internet. There was articles about you that were like that Heat Street article I covered. That was totally on your side. Everyone who watched my video was on your side. Everyone I saw on Twitter. I mean, because they were like, oh, well, yeah, these are SJWs trying to fuck with this guy. And I'm shocked it didn't blow up even bigger. I saw some big YouTubers make videos about it, like a Channel V and some other people that they got a lot of hits. I mean, I shocked because it was ridiculous. Like, even here, in case anyone had any doubts that Furry Raiders are Nazis, their birthday on their on their FA page is Adolf Hitler's. Acceptance my ass. Hashtag get fucked. And then you said it took 1,610 page views for someone to do math on that. Thank you for finding other Easter egg found. Win for you.
Yeah, that was 2 years ago when the shit blew up first time. Um, the person that was managing our FA page, Nightwolf, we were sitting down having some fun about talking about how people are seeing us as Nazis. So we changed. You're allowed to. Our birthday, our creation day on FA is not Hitler's birthday. So that's completely wrong. So people don't get that. What it is that you're allowed to put age in there, like your age. So I did the math, and I'm like, so how old would Hitler be if he was alive today? And it was 124 years old. So we put 124 on our FA page, and somebody caught that. And I'm just like, it was just so funny that you would actually sit there and actually think about it that much to know that that age had that. Because then you're like, people are looking at their Raider page and like, why are they 124 years old? What? And I didn't know anything about Hitler, so I was just like, whatever. I told Nightwolf it was totally fine. I don't give a shit. And it's just one of those things, I don't give a shit. And I do certain things for reasons, When I made comments about how I don't like bronies, is because I had a Porsche group label me as a brony because I was a furry and I was trying to combat them. So I tried to look as evil as possible, saying that I hit a brony with my car. I am the Nazi, I'm the Hitler fox, and I'm going to come terrorize you all. But and at the end of the day, they realized that this fox is crazy. Don't fuck with him and his furry side. And they left it alone. We became friends, and the Porsche community in the Colorado area doesn't really care about me anymore, and that's what I'm happy with. I'm allowed to go to the Porsche events in fursuit. I'm allowed to wear my armband. I'm allowed to track. I'm allowed to have a whole bunch of plushies in my car. Don't care. They don't care anymore. They used to. They don't care anymore. So
there's another tweet here, Stardust. They said they're going to be super clear on this, since they have a bunch of furry followers and friends and stuff, and from Colorado. I will never associate with you if you support deem A-OK and are friends with Furry Raider members. Period. Anyone that thinks it's A-OK to match around any con or venue with Nazi armband, laugh out loud, we see you put a paw, so okay, is absolutely deranged. Foxler is a Nazi fur. I am a punk, I am a Jew. I don't know what that has to do with that. Apparently they're a kangaroo foot through your teeth. They're going to put a kangaroo foot through your teeth. Before I am your friend. If you are fine with armbands and Nazi furs, please do not let the happy colors fool you. I am a New York City native and have curb-stomped skinheads since I was a teenager. I will fight Nazis wherever I go. I will fight Nazis wherever I goddamn see them. I am anti-Furry Raiders, and you should be too. If this makes you unfollow me, hopefully the door hits you on the way out. So do you have a response to that?
Well, I know Stardust. She's a kangaroo. She lives here in Colorado in the Denver area. And she doesn't like me. I don't know why. Never met her. I've seen her around.
She wants to curb stomp you.
Yeah, we brought this up many times with other people in the community, saying, yeah, I'm not the one threatening to curb stomp people, but she's justified apparently because I'm a Nazi.
Yeah, because all I read in that message was a lot of violence and hate. I mean, that's all I read was, I used to beat people up, which I don't know if I believe that at all. And then and I'm going to come and beat you up, and if you associate with these Nazis, you're a Nazi too. So, guilt by association. No, that's crazy. No, so there's this much drama in the furry community, someone has to make a statement. I'm going to be super clear on this. Anyone who thinks it's okay to watch around with any convent. I mean, I love how they say that condescending, oh, I see you put a paw there, so it's okay. I like that they think that was just you being like, well, I'm going to be a Nazi, but I'm going to put this thing there that's not a swastika, and that'll fool them. That doesn't make any sense. If you wanted to be a Nazi, wouldn't you just put something that was closer to a swastika on your arm? Like, you could have done a design that was much similar to a swastika than a paw print. That's...
Yeah, I mean, everybody thinks that, I created Foxer because I'm a Nazi. No, Foxer was created out of series of events that became unfortunate to make him look like a Nazi, supposedly. Like, my name, Foxler was supposedly, they say, it was driven because of Fox and Hitler, which actually is Fox and my last name, Miller, and they threw this one Oh, I love this one. So my persona species is a Corsac fox, which is found in the what did Hitler say? What mountain range that Hitler said that was the where the um uh oh what I don't know history at all. So
Yeah, I
he
can't
made
remember
this
talking about.
claim of
Yeah, I know what you're
yeah,
talking about.
yeah, he claimed that this is where the white person came from. This is where, purity is all from this mountain range, whatever. People said I picked the Corsac fox because the Corsac is found in that area. I'm like, no, I picked the Corsac fox because I'm part Thai and part German. I thought, because the Corsac fox is found in northern Asia. It's kind of good, northern European Asian mix.
Yeah.
I thought that would work. And people that are into Buddhism is usually a Tibetan sand fox. So I mean, come on, I don't know. And they threw those cards in there. And then they're saying, oh, the armband and the paw print, you made that because it was Nazi. I know, I found it on Second Life as a free item. It looked great. I was going to go with it. They said, oh, yeah, your tie is Nazi. And, Nazis don't wear red ties.
Yeah, I don't remember the Nazi uniform with the red tie and the black shirt. I don't remember that at all, actually.
Yeah, a black fishing shirt from Columbia Sportwear. Yeah, that's so Nazi. Oh, my God.
Well, that means Columbia Sportswear, Fishwear is a Nazi outlet, and that's where you go shop at all your.
Yeah, go shop for all your Nazi gear.
Yeah,
Sportwear.
you need Nazi. Yeah, go there to get your Nazi gear. Thank you, Kubler. I don't know, TBUSA, and this is a tweet from you for allowing me the equal right of personal creativity and expression as Foxler at Milo's event. So you went as Foxler at a Milo event?
Oh yeah. So you want to know more SJW blowing up? So I like Milo because he's funny. He reminds me of Stu Griffin, which is one of our comedians in the furry fandom. He doesn't take shit. He gives shit. So, in a sense, I thought, I want to go see Milo. He's coming to Boulder. Why not, right?
It's like a stand-up show. He is funny. He's genuinely, laugh out loud funny.
Right, not everybody thinks it's funny, but whatever. You don't have to be there then.
Yeah,
I will go there.
Yeah, I'll go and laugh my ass off.
And so I got some tickets, and in November of last year, I contacted Milo's team and College Republicans and Turning Point and asked them, hey, could I come as this guy? They had no problem with it. And even they mentioned that Milo would love you to be on front stage. I'm like, oh, cool. I get to be a fox. Okay, so the day before the event, Boulder police said no go, no face coverings at all, period. And I got shut down on that, but that was only inside the building. So outside the building, I went in fursuit, like you see me now, and I went in front of a whole bunch of protesters. I wanted to see, is my armband really Nazi? And I go up to people and I say, furry lives matter, I'm preaching the SJW stereotype crap using furry context, and nobody cares. Nobody's looking at me. Some people are coming up to me, can I take a picture with you? And they got a sign saying, I'm going to punch some Nazis. And I'm just standing the guy going, hi, and getting picture taken. It's like, where is the violence?
Yeah.
There's no violence towards me. I was totally fine. And then when the event started, I had to take my head off and go inside. Had a chance to see Milo, and then apparently I heard that there was some rioting going on in the back. People got arrested. But my theory was, if this was really Nazi, they would have, these people that are very left-leaning SJWs would have said something.
Foxler, you're cutting out again. I don't know what's... Hold on. I'm just letting you know, because you're cutting out, and I don't want you to waste your time talking if you can. Hold on. I don't know what's going on. Is it something's... Hold on. We're having technical difficulties.
It's because people want to be bad, so they're gonna be bad.
Yeah. Well, we've been going on over 2 hours, so if you're ready to wrap this up, I'll wrap this up so we can, even though I could talk for 4 or 5 hours with you about this stuff, as I'm endlessly fascinated. So hopefully we get to talk again sometime in the future, and we can talk about some different things and some different aspects, because in 2 hours there's a lot to talk about. Basically what I wanted to get here is, you talking as you on camera. People can see you. I can't misconstrue this. It's on a live stream. So this is like, you know, if you want to see a Foxler interview where he says all the shit, what he stands for, what he believes, there you go. You know, there you go. You don't have to go read an article. Here's an interview with him talking in his own words, in a sense. But I thank you a lot for coming on, dude, and talking to me. It's very nice of you, actually. I know you're a busy guy, and I can't believe we even got in touch with each other through the video and on Twitter.
Well, and I appreciate you taking time to and making your videos and speaking out, because I think that's the best thing people should be doing, is speaking. Yes, I don't mind people saying, oh, I'm racist. That's racist to do. Well, tell me what your problem is so we can figure it out. And usually ends up as a catch-22, you know, it's just a circle jerk, and, you know, you do your thing, I do my thing, and can we agree on that? And some people are like, no, I need to fight you. And I'm just like, well, there's our problem right there.
Yeah, I didn't want to circle jerk here. I just wanted to interview you, ask you some questions, and get the answers, because I was curious about a lot of these things, and I couldn't find answers on them without doing an insane amount of research. So it's good to get them directly from you and get a lot of clarity on a lot of the stuff that went on with this. Like, okay, so this was all just bullshit. There's just some people that don't like you. There's just this drama that's a thing. But for the most part, it sounds like you can go up to normal people and nobody thinks of you as a Nazi or gives a shit. It's just some narrative somebody started in the community, and other people are buying into it for whatever reason. They're being easily susceptible.
They're buying into, yeah, they're buying it for multiple reasons. Some stuff I said years ago, you know, because I'm doing my thing. I have different ways of experiencing and learning problems, and they're just taking stuff out of context continuously. And then other things are just like, because my friend said so. And then the other thing is that they really truly hard believe that there's Nazis everywhere. And then
I know.
I'm just like,
they think like 60-70% of America, there's like this Nazi population. Like everyone who voted for Donald Trump's a Nazi. Everyone who lives in certain states is a Nazi. I'm like, that makes no sense. You're talking about millions of people.
I'm like, what kind of Nazi porno have you been watching?
No, exactly. No, like what X-Men alternate dimension did you go to? But no, I wanted people to see this because, yeah, you're actually, it's the opposite of how they portray you, is what I found so weird in meeting you, is that you're the total opposite of a Nazi. You're actually a very accepting, nice guy who's willing to adjust to things to make people comfortable.
I mean, I'll adjust to, you know, to a certain degree.
Yeah,
I mean,
of course.
I don't want to change this.
Yeah.
This is me. You know, I couldn't live without this, and I keep telling people, I will not change, because I will always be Foxer to my death. And that's a choice. That's my choice.
Are you going to get
Stop
buried in the outfit?
Control it. What?
Are you going to get buried in the outfit? Or cremated or whatnot?
You know, I've been thinking about that, and I'm too young to think I'm going to die tomorrow.
Yeah, I know, but yeah. I
would actually, if you want to get technical, I would love to be buried in a suit, and I would love my tombstone to be a fox trying to look up to the stars.
That would be badass. That'd be awesome.
And here lies, not using my real name, or like in a small caption at the bottom, just use my furry name. And think of it. That's just, you know, that's just me trying to compliment myself in a sense of, this is what I've created and I'm happy with it. And no matter what happens in life, I'll still be me. Even if it's supposedly this offensive thing. See, so offensive.
Yeah.
Your viewers, be offended by me. No, nobody gives a shit.
I'm glad you're saying that, because more people need to hear this message. Like, be yourself. Don't care what people think. Go through it. I mean, because you've dealt with a lot of shit from this. A lot of negativity your way. And you're still going. You haven't, you know, you didn't let it bring you down.
That's what I want to tell people. Don't let people push you down. I'm not letting it happen to me. I mean, there are, like I said, there are limitations. Don't be violent. Don't break the law, okay? I've been to jail, so
yeah.
I made, I know, and they're not. I'm no murderous criminal here. I just drove without a license too many times. That'll get you in trouble. They treat that like a DUI, so they'll lock you up for a little while for being stupid.
Yeah.
But that's the point, is that you can be yourself and try to get yourself to be accepted with everybody. It's just the thing is that when you like in SJW, when you take it too far and start breaking the law, then and being violent about it. Because I've seen a lot of videos. People get hit upside the head and
Yeah.
pepper sprayed for no reason. I'm just like, this ain't legal.
No.
Dude, if anybody did that to me...
At the one Berkeley fight, they were throwing bricks and glass bottles at people. They were throwing them up in the air. Now, if a brick or a glass bottle hit you in the head like that, you could die. And
Yeah.
it's so scary. These people have no consideration for human life on a basic level. And it's like, well, you can't do stuff like this. This is barbaric. We don't live in a modern society like this. This is not the rules that we... you don't go to a convention and say you're going to go punch people because you don't like their armband. That's something I don't put up with. I don't
Absolutely.
like... Yeah, you don't start violence with people that you don't agree with something about them like that. That's ridiculous. That's bigotry in a real form. Where you seem like you're not a bigot at all. It seems like you're pretty accepting of all kinds. I mean, even in a furry sense, it seems like you're telling me there's a lot of furries who don't like certain things about the community or certain aspects, but you're pretty open to let people do what they want. And that's...
Absolutely. And,
yeah, that's
and the same
awesome.
thing goes for real world. If neo-Nazis want to go protest, as long as they got their permit, they paid the insurance to the city to do what they want to do, and they want to go protest, that's fine. You can do it in my neighborhood. I don't care. It's not going to affect me because I'm going to be in the house doing my thing or at work, and they're not disrupting my flow. And
Yeah.
even if they are disrupting my flow, they got a permit, it's legal. But when people are out protesting and breaking shit and catching shit on fire, there's no permit for this bullshit. They're just going out there because you got on social media and say, "Hey guys, meet me here so we can cause trouble, or we can be empowered. We can empower. We can impeach. We can take down everybody that we don't like because we have a voice." In a sense, that's not how the system works, and that's why they're getting arrested. That's the reason why riot police are in their face, and they're saying, "Oh, it's unjust." Well, it's unjust for you not to get a fucking permit to protest in the first place. And you think when you're going around smashing Starbucks windows, and I love that one video of that anti-fascist dude knocking the trash can over.
No, me too, yeah.
It's just like, oh,
He's
look,
like,
I've
I'm
done
a
something.
badass, man. Look, it's a cheap plastic trash can on the side of the road. Take that, pigs. Take that, Donald. Donald Trump's gonna tweet about this. He's gonna be pissed. Through this dumpster.
and that's exactly what I saw at the Milo event. Literally, we drove up, me and my friends, and literally on the right side, waiting at the bus stop, was a guy that was anti-fascist with the black mask over his face. I'm just sitting here like, oh my god.
No, I've always said to my friends, I've been trying so hard to go to one of those events as the patriarchy, because I used to wear a mask in my old videos. And I want to go. I want to go there so bad because a lot of these people they are pussies. They like to call big gay the Antifa people, but I would just love to because I don't know. I feel like I'd get some great footage going in there. I've been trying because that's what it is. They throw over trash cans or they just yell in your face and call you a white supremacist or something like that. It means nothing. You see this with Jordan Peterson in Canada, actually. This guy. He gets.
Oh yeah, I know Jordan.
Yeah, he gets protested all the time, and he says nothing offensive at all. He's like completely inoffensive, and people are yelling at him that he's like he hates transgender people. And it's like, no, he actually cares about them, and he wants to help them, and he's trying to explain to them that this pronoun law is not going to help you. It won't actually fix any of your issues. You're still going to be depressed.
See, and the thing I'm trying to tell anybody, especially people that don't agree with me, okay, don't worry about other people's problems. Don't worry about anything, because the thing is, you are still allowed by most of the world that follows the civil rights of people's human rights to be who you want to be. If you want to be a different gender, go for it. If you want to be called something else, go for it. And if it's too difficult for you to do that, then you probably shouldn't do anything if you don't want to struggle through the change. And it said, me being a furry 10 years ago, openly, was difficult. And I had to make a decision. Do I whine and cry about it and stop being a furry and making it everybody else's problem? Or do I rise up against it and say, no, you're not going to control me? And I just love when now I can go back to the people that teach at those schools and rub my paws in their faces like, look, I'm still a furry, I'm successful, and bullshit, go to fucking hell. I mean, that's what I want to say to them. I want to literally go to my old school and protest and say, I'm a Foxler now. Look at me. You know? But I'm not going to really do it.
I have the same feeling, man, my whole life. Every time anyone ever told me you can't do this or that, then, yeah, I just want to go back and tell them now, like, fuck you, you know? But, it's great. I'm glad. No, that's because you're the opposite of all the problems I have with SJWs and when I cover transgender stuff and a lot of the people is that, yeah, they don't have that. They're not willing to take the. I don't know if you ever seen Goodfellas, the Martin Scorsese film, but there's a scene early on where the main character, his dad, comes home and finds out he hasn't been going to school, and he starts hitting him with a belt because he finds out he's been skipping school to go to this mobster hangout. And he's sitting there, and he's like, you know, the movie stops and the character's narrating, and he said, you know, I took a beating, but he goes, the way I see it, everyone's got to take a beating sometimes. And I saw that movie when I was young, and that really stuck with me, because, like, yeah, that's true. I mean, not always your dad beating the belt, but, like, you have to take a beating if you really want the things you want. If you want to get there, you're going to have to settle with, like, you're going to take some lashes, metaphorically. And that's what the movie's saying. Like, this guy wants to be a mobster. He's like, well, hey, I gotta take the hits. You know, everyone takes a beat. You know, you're gonna get your ass kicked, be it physically or metaphorically, at many points in your life.
Right, and in a sense that, yes, I'm getting a lash from my armband, and I'm willing to accept that. And I just don't like it when, like, trans individuals, and I have trans friends, and now I have some ex-trans friends because they don't like the fact that I'm not catering. But, you know, the thing is that if you're literally, the thing you're doing first is that you're defying the fact of what biology is saying. You are this gender, okay? That you're fighting that one first, and that people can't automatically change their mindset when they see you. Oh, you're not that gender. I should label what you want me to label you as. Sorry,
you're trying to force change instead of organically letting it enter the vernacular. Like, people aren't saying the gender pronouns. It just is not catching on to the mainstream. People are not saying zer, and it drives these people crazy. It's like, listen, if people don't want to accept your language, you can't force it. That's textbook fascism. Like, you can't force. Language has to grow organically. If people want to say the pronouns, they'll do it. It'll become part of our speech. But people like saying typically male, female, because it's easy.
Yeah.
I hate to be that way. It's just easy. It's lazy. It's easy. I don't have to remember a special title for you. You have a name. I'll call you your name. That's your special title. You know, Mike, Jimmy, Paul.
Right. So, and the thing is that I see that, okay, they're struggling with that. I understand. And I struggle with things too. And so you want to take the steps of being called her, but you're not a her biologically. Well, first, you know, you need to present yourself like that. And you need to look the part. And then you need to be the part. These are the things that you have to struggle through to become who you want to be. And I just really hate the ones that are, and I'm getting this from a lot of really, you know, people that have transitioned or ready to transition, that they're getting sick of the posers that are jumping in and switching their genders like every day or every week.
Well, like you said, the normies that came into the furry thing. The transgender community was a very small, because I studied it for years. I was fascinated by it. I read about it. Transsexuality goes back in history. Rome had it. It's not a new thing. And I always looked at it, and then now, like, yeah, I meet people. Every other person I meet now is like, they claim to be they claim to be transgender or non-binary, gender fluid. And it's like, okay, wait, did you feel this way before, or did you read about it on the internet, and then you're like, oh, I can be that? Where the other people, I feel like they just felt weird their whole lives and they didn't know what to do. Because sometimes it's not that you're transgender or you're gender fluid. You could be gay and you don't realize it. You could have depression or something and you don't know. There's so many different things that could be going on with you. It doesn't automatically mean that you're an opposite gender or a different gender than what you are. Like, if Foxler didn't work out, you wouldn't be doing it 17 years. You know, like, if it had failed early on, you would have stopped doing it. But you're still doing it, so it works.
It works for me, yeah.
Yeah.
And the same with other people. You know, I mean, I've tried to be intimate with someone that was trans, and it didn't work out for me because I didn't know how to comprehend that they were female, but they actually were male. And it's just like, that confuses me. That made me so like, I don't know what to do. Like, I want to be romantic, but they're not. Oh, they're a guy. Oh, but they're not. But I thought they were a chick at the time.
Yeah, no, I know he had a crying game situation. Fecal is Einhorn. No.
And I know, and it's not their fault, it's that they're still trying to discover themselves, and to me, I could see why that they're shifting in that direction, because they were unsure about their identity. They were always frustrated because they didn't have a place in life that made sense to them.
Yeah.
And I tried to help. I said, hey, what can we do? And they're trying to fix me at the same time, because they didn't want me to be treated like some Nazi fox, but they kept telling me I need to take the armband off, and I'm just like, I can't do that. Like, the same reason why you can't change the fact that you want to be female. There's just certain things we can't get over. We just need to learn how to adapt and move forward. And eventually they ended up not liking me anymore, because the fact that they were so used to catering to everybody else that they would mold themselves to the problem. That was really the issue, is that they haven't fully moved to the direction they wanted to move to. So they will present themselves and mold themselves to make themselves welcome to everybody, to feel like what they're doing is good. And me, I was just like, I don't care. You don't like me, you don't like me, and I didn't mold myself to it. So then that's what caused our separation, is because I didn't want to mold with them.
Yeah.
Like everybody else was doing.
Well, the problem with growing is when you meet people in your life, friends or lovers, and when you can't grow together. That's a lesson you have to learn with life, is that the people that can't grow with you organically, they're going to hold you back in a lot of ways, because there's clashes throughout life. Because you have to have people who help you grow. Like, a friend isn't just there to kiss your ass. A friend's there to challenge you and make you the best version of you sometimes, or to help keep you... people who are too nice to you or too mean to you aren't good for you. You need people that call you out in a nice, respectful way, and then you need people that can be there for you when you need someone, that aren't just there for you for their own emotional gain. They're actually caring about your feelings. They're not there to see like how you can help them, which is something a lot of people do.
Yeah, and I would say that maybe she wanted to grow out of certain things, and she wanted me to grow and change out of Foxler, and I couldn't do that. So I think that's where the issue began, and that's okay, because they go their path, and and from what I see, they're becoming a musician, a popular musician now, and they're where they want to be, and they're starting to get to that place where they can grow.
Wait, are you telling me that you used to date Lady Gaga? Is that what I'm hearing?
No, I mean, maybe the furry version of it.
Yeah, no, you didn't. The furry version of Lady Gaga. Lady Pawpaw.
The Lady Pawpaw.
The armband to
me... Oh, God,
somebody's
going to do that.
Yeah, no, the armband to me, I would wear it more as like a punk rock thing. Like, if they told me I couldn't wear it, that would make me want to wear it even more personally. Like, that would make me go, okay, now I'm going to wear it even more. Because if people are telling you don't wear it, that would to me, I'm the kind of person that's like, well, now I'm going to wear it all the time.
I'd have to say that I do have some formalities to the punk scene. I mean, punk rock, and I kind of like it. I'm not a big fan of it, but you know, like when Gwar was fucking popular.
Yeah, because they dressed up in costumes and stuff. That was the thing.
Yeah, big alien dicks everywhere, and everybody was offended.
Yeah, and that was the whole point. I mean, it was the opposite of Kiss, where Kiss was like almost an example of commercialism with costumes, where Gwar was anti-commercialism completely. It was I mean, I was a big Gwar fan. Gwar. Yeah, me too.
I'm really sad that the lead singer passed away.
Oh, me too. Yeah. I'm sad I never got to see a Gwar show. I had friends who went, and they every story I've ever heard about a Gwar concert was just the most amazing fucking stories I've ever heard. And it was like...
Oh, I think they're all about presentation. Yeah. They want to mix music with fucking awesome. And
well, I'm a theatrical guy. I like theater, so I love performers that include that aspect into it. And Gwar had this whole performance piece with the music. And
it's not like Pet Shop Boys, where the lead musician is just sitting there on his keyboard doing this all day.
You were always on my mind.
I know he wasn't he like considered the most famous person that doesn't look like he does anything.
No, I know. He's like the Garfunkel. Like he just is like, dude, you can sing all right, but you're not really doing anything. You're just chilling there.
Oh yeah, Garfunkel.
Garfunkel.
Simon Garfunkel. Oh my God, yeah, those guys. Great music.
Poor Paul Simon. Yeah, he did.
Oh yeah, it's like can't do shit on stage.
No, poor Paul Simon, like writing all this music, doing all this stuff. Then they have to go stand up on the stage. Thank you for being on, man. And if anyone, where can people follow you on Twitter if they want to follow your tweets and see what's going on?
Yes, you can follow me at StarFoxAceFox on Twitter, and you can also pretty much just Google my screen name, StarFoxAceFox, and you'll find me.
You showed up like I had no issue Googling. Like I just entered you into Google, and 1,000 things popped up with your name and images of you. So it's not hard to find you. You're actually very easy to, which is weird. How accessible you are, because a lot of other people, it wouldn't be this easy to find them, this furry. Like, you're actually very easy to find shit about. It's strange.
That means that I'm consistent and I don't hide shit.
I think that's a key of it. I think that's what a lot of it is. It seems like you've been Foxler, as it is, for a long time. So you've made kind of an impact.
People are like, oh, you should delete your live journal because it has controversial shit on it. I'm just like, no, because that's my history.
And then you're lying about what you said. If you take it away, then you're saying you never said it. Yeah, and you did say it.
I said it. Yeah, when I was 18 or 17, we do stupid shit. We role play with stupid things, and we do, like I was, like when I was at that age, when you're 16, you're 15. Yeah, what consequences? You learn those. Yeah. And nobody gave me consequences for my furry social aspect. And, they pulled a card like, oh, you see, you're a pedophile. You role play with a 14-year-old. Yeah, when I was 17. Like, I was cybering when I was 17.
No, I got that once years ago. I got accused. I used to go to an anime forum. And I was 16, and I remember I think I cybered with a girl once that was like 15, 14, and I was 16, and I got attacked by everyone on that when they found out in the chat. They were like, everyone on there, they were going to ban me. They're like, you're a pedophile, dude. I'm like, guys, I'm a teenager. This is not, I was like, I am, in real life, this is what happens. Teenagers have sex with other teenagers. I'm a teenage boy. I'm not an adult. This is a teenage girl. I'm not grown up. I'm not. If I'm a pedophile,
yeah, and they assume that you're an adult and all that.
Yeah, I'm not an adult. I'm a teenager interested in other teenagers. If I was getting with an adult, that would be, then you could criticize that person, or if I was getting with like a 12-year-old or something, but not somebody that's like, it's like, well, most girls that are 14, 15 date 16-year-old guys. That's pretty common in high school or schools, or even older than that, to be honest. So when I was,
oh yeah, because like perfect example, like. I was with this one girl. She was her name was Rubik. She was one of my mates years ago. When I was in 2011, in 2010, I was like 23, 24, and she was 16. And age of consent worked at that time. Where the state I was in, North Carolina, and father was totally cool with it. He was actually a 70s furry, and that was really creepy when I found out about that, because he told me secretly when I was staying at his house. When I was hanging out with his daughter, and he went up to his closet and he pulled out this huge binder of stuff, and I went through and he's like all his porn drawings from the 70s of anthropomorphic animals. I'm like, oh my god. And I'm like, that's how she's such a great artist.
I mean, I like that. I mean, like, I don't know if I'm familiar with H.R. Giger of the Alien films, but the Xenomorph and stuff, his drawings were always sexual in nature. It was about biomechanical sexual beings. Like, everything in Alien was, even the androids, when they bleed out this white liquid, which is clearly sperm. In the first Alien movie, there's a scene where an android rolls up a magazine and sticks it in Ripley's mouth like it's a dick, and then he starts spazzing out and his blood is white. It's so clear what they're saying. And I was always into that too, because because sexuality is so much of human nature, and we try to ignore it. So I like the artists who completely embrace it from the very get-go. They're like, no, this is part of human nature. In fact, it maybe is the biggest part of human nature. This is one of the main things.
Oh yeah, because I was actually watching a little documentary on the Egyptians and sexuality, and they were very sexual. in the ancient world. And what makes it even more funny is that when we discovered their tombs and stuff, we tried censoring and removing from the statues and stuff and the artifacts the sexual aspect from it. And I'm just like, really, we really did that?
Well, we think we invented it modern concepts of sexuality, but it's actually been explored throughout years, thousands of years of history. People have already been exploring sexuality. Because of course they were. There was nothing to do. I mean, you didn't. It's not like we had iPhones. What'd you do? You had sex.
It's not like we had iPhones, yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, like, in a
like,
sense
okay,
that,
I'll fuck a guy today. Fuck it. I got nothing to do. You know. I mean, it was like.
And in a sense, if you're talking about, Roman, Greece and all that, and the Egyptians, I'll fuck a goat, no problem.
Yeah, they were just bored. Yeah, no, they were just bored. They had nothing to do. They're like, fuck, we're sitting around. I mean, God, they're just sitting around talking all day. That's all the philosophers did. They just sit around and bullshit it like Socrates. He'd just go up to people and talk all day and hang out. And it's like, I've said that's what we're kind of doing on the internet now. It's crazy. Like, we're acting like these asshole philosophers. We're sitting here and having these conversations about things. And we're getting into things, We're getting into the world and life and personality and identity. And it's cool. I wish this was more of what the internet was doing instead of the raw political versus this and that, because that sucks. That's got played out a while ago. Like, I got done with that in the Bush era. Like, I'm sick of the versus shit. Even though I contribute to it, but I kind of just shitpost on my channel. My channel's more about, like, if I find something funny, I'm going to make a video about it. That's basically where it comes at. And I was like, with your video, I was like, okay, this story, I don't like that this guy's in the situation, but this is a lot of comedy gold in this.
I know, I saw you were laughing so much in the video. I'm just like, I love this guy. He's just like, oh my god, what the fuck? You guys are crazy, stupid. No, and it's like, oh, stop fucking calling Foxer a Nazi.
No, well, I couldn't believe it. It would just make me laugh. I mean, people, the enthusiasm in the video, I think, came across because I was so excited about discovering this. And when I started reading about the personas and stuff, and I was like, no, but I got from the thing, I was like, okay, everything I got from this Foxer guy sounds awesome. Like, everything I read in that article and when I looked around, I was like, I gotta talk to this guy. This guy sounds great. And I said, Foxler, and we support you. And then he got a hold of me, and I was like, all right, cool. And that's something that every SJW that's ever criticized me or I made a video about, they will not talk to me. They'll never have that conversation. Mm-hmm. Because they'd have to actually get in a debate then and defend some of the things they said that I accused them of. You, on the other hand, though, you're like, hey, dude, let's talk. No, and you've been interviewed by Rolling Stone and Vice. You've had big interviews, and
no, and I agree. That's been pretty big. And I would go to more furries that don't like me and talk to them. But like one perfect example, like this Roo guy, this red kangaroo. He did a video on me, and then he did another video. And he won't even call me Foxler. He was trying to come up with some other crazy name I should call myself, and then he was saying that, it's simple. Stop wearing the armband. It's like, you really want me to reply to this? Is this what you believe? You're not gonna give me the least of respect by calling me the persona name I decided to be called, that you know me by? And then I'm just like, no, I'm not gonna reply to this. It's bullshit.
Well,
it's just
if they don't have the respect for you, then why do you have to have a respect to respond to them, in a sense? Because he's not respecting you with his accusations and what he's telling you to do. So, fuck him. It's like, I don't have to respond to your bullshit, because it's bullshit. And that's pretty much been my video series from the beginning. It's like, oh, this is clearly the bullshit in here. I'm all for truth. I don't care if, if you were actually a Nazi, right? And the Furry Raiders were actually a Nazi group. I wouldn't care.
Yeah.
I generally wouldn't care. I would still have this interview with you and talk to you and have you explain your point of view about why you're a Nazi and why the Furry Raiders. I would listen to you. I would let you come make your case. And they wouldn't let you do that. And that's how far I'm willing to go, but they won't even let you make your case when you're not that way. And that's the difference between social justice warriors and everyone else that I don't think is... It's just normal people. I don't even think so. Just people that aren't in the PC culture. They got brainwashed by, be it their teachers, their parents. I don't know who brainwashed a lot of these people. They just got brainwashed somewhere. But, us, we can, this has been more revealing and talked more about identity and that kind of stuff that people go through than any of those BuzzFeed videos do that talk about trans rights or any of those feminist videos about it. Because they don't say anything. It's so shallow. There's
Right,
nothing...
and I'll still talk with BuzzFeed and Vice.
Yeah.
As long as they can approach me respectfully. If they're like, they're asking me questions is like, if they're trying to force a narrative that, oh yeah, you're a Nazi, how do you feel about being a Nazi? I'm gonna be like, I'm not a Nazi.
Yeah, if they PewDiePie you. Yeah, if they're like, and then
yeah.
then they cherry pick things. It sounds like you get cherry picked a lot. Like they find something you said 10 years ago, and they're like, "Look, Nazi," and that's so silly because you can't take one thing someone says and make that a whole statement about who they are.
Oh yeah, you're like I said to you that they're trying to take something it took me 10 seconds to post and try to unveil my 17 years of being a furry.
Yeah, who you are. Yeah. Yeah, all that unravels in a tweet. That's why I don't like Twitter a lot of the time, because I'm not good at saying things in 140 characters. I'm not good at being concise. So it's like, I don't know how to tweet about this.
Same here.
I'm like,
I never
have no
used
idea.
Twitter or Facebook until this whole thing blew up.
Yeah,
you can look at my timeline. I never said anything until...
Yeah, no, honestly, before I started doing YouTube and had to communicate with people, I never got on social media because I hated it, because I was like, you can't talk to people on here. It's either they agree with you immediately or not. There's rarely that middle part that you get when you look at someone, like, when you're talking to them and you interact with them and you realize, like, oh, they're speaking with a certain way, so I know how to perceive them. But you don't get that on Twitter or Facebook. You're getting what your bias is reading that font a certain way. I'm reading that tweet the way I want to read it. Even if you wrote it, I'm reading it the way I want to read it, and that's a difference.
Yeah, and you're taking out of time context. If you're reading something I wrote 10 years ago, it's not the same context as what you may experience in life. So that's the reason why I'm always a voice guy. I like to get on voice calls. And, this is how I like to put myself forward. And what's really sad is when the community, my local community here, won't even allow me to be on their Facebook group of Colorado Furries because they're worried that my existence is going to cause boycotting and drama and violence. I can't even defend myself locally.
Man, I thought in Colorado you guys were all just so high you didn't care. But I guess not.
Oh, they're pretty opinionated.
They need to just smoke a bowl and chill. Just smoke a big bowl and be like, Foxler's all right. Not a Nazi. Let's just pass the peace pipe around. We're in Colorado.
Oh yeah, but now there are people saying that, well, I really didn't have a choice. I had to be pressured in picking a side, and I decided the best would be anti-Raider. I'm just sitting here like, oh, so you were forced to pick a side. You should really rethink your friends. If you're forced to pick a side.
Yeah, if your friends are forcing you to think or do certain things, that's awful, quite frankly. I mean, because, I had plenty of friends where we completely disagree on music or something, and they don't, I've had friends tell me, like, dude, you're a dad rocker. But, like, they're just talking shit. They're not pissed at me. They don't like that I like a lot of old music. And I'm like, hey, dude, that's cool. But, yeah, these other people, they like to, like, well, hey, if you don't listen to this music I like, I'm not going to hang out with you. Because you don't pass my test of of what I think's cool. And that's childish behavior. And it's I don't know, if they're claiming to be progressives, that's anti-progressive. Because what would Martin Luther King, if he had made any progress, if he had told white people to fuck off, or other groups, he told them, hey, come work with me, and we can do things. And that's how progress is made. You don't tell people, hey, your group sucks, I'm not going to hang out with you. Even my criticism of Islam or ISIS and radical stuff, we have to win the battle of ideas to change that. I don't think we can just solve it with violence. I think we have to change minds with ideas. And
right, and that's exactly right. In the sense of, am I against ISIS and Islam and all this? I'm not. Obviously, I don't know ISIS well enough, but they have done a lot of things that people claim they have done, and I would say, well, there's got to be some oversight when you look into that, and that's what's being done. But when it comes to the people that are in the same country as those radicals, am I going to label them that way? No, I need to learn who they are. I need to understand, and then we need to come up with some grounds. If I'm in their country, I have to follow their rules and their community standards, and I would say they have to do the same for us. If they come over here, they have to kind of respect a certain. And we have to respect them too.
I agree with you. This is the only country where you get shit for that, because any other country in the world you go to, you have to respect the cultures and courtesies of that country. It's a thing. And yet people, this whole argument from the SJWs is like, well, immigrants should just come over here and they don't have to adjust to American values. It's like, well, yeah, you do. We have laws and you have to obey those things. Those are things that we all agreed upon collectively that we were going to do.
Right, and the perfect example is, with their religion. I'm not against their religion. I'm not going to practice it, but, they're allowed to deal with their religion any way they want. Now, here's the exceptions, like the example about their view on marriage and how young you can marry and all that. I mean, marriage is fine, whatever. But if you're starting to dabble into, non-consensual activities with a child or something, maybe forcing marriage or some sort because your religion says so, no, the government's going to come down and say, nope, that's against our laws.
Yes.
And we cannot cater to that. And then the SJW is saying, it's that you should allow them to because it's their religion. And I'm just like, well, yeah, but you have to understand that their laws can supersede against other things because of the morality fact that it's not going to be right that, she's 12 years old and she's consensually marrying someone older. We can't, that's taking the rights of that child that if they were born in this country or they have citizenship in this country, they have rights too, and they're going to be protected from this religion in its aspect. Yeah. So, and and I see those debates, and I see posters in you could say the propaganda, them posting saying, "Oh, it's our religion, it's okay." Yeah, in your country, it's totally fine. We're not going to step into that world right now. But in here, when you're here in America, unfortunately, there's laws to protect that, and you're going to get subject to that, regardless of your religion. And then they'll throw, it's against our civil rights and stuff, and it's just like...
Your religion is not it's a right to practice. That's as far as it goes, though. Like, secularism's the best thing that ever happened, in my mind, in history, is that we separated church from state. And right. I think the countries that do that really benefit. Where we see Sharia law, like you said, you can marry a 10-year-old girl. They can stone homosexuals. They can cut people's hands off for stealing with these religious-based laws. And we don't want to accept that in the modern world because that is barbaric. That is barbaric behavior. And in America, we have a lot of problems, but we've made a general acceptance in Western modern civilization that we're not going to do that stuff. We're not going to treat women that way. We're not going to treat people, and we're not going to push religious law text in religious books on the people. Really, the Constitution, nothing that's in the Constitution necessarily is that tied to religion, like the Second Amendment, the First Amendment, all those things. So it's nice that we have that here, and I think those other cultures, they're just not used to that because they grew up in a culture without secularism. So a lot of these people don't know they can live in a world where they're not controlled by religious law. And I think once you come here and live a while and you see you're not, you're like, oh wait, I can do whatever I want? And there's not this authoritarian God thing going on? Oh, wow. And I think if we can get that across to the people, it would really cut down the radicalism, because even it's not, I mean, it's like if you go back to Nazi Germany, everyone just assumes Nazi Germany was just blanket evil, but they ignore the fact that Europe really shit on Germany after World War I. They blamed everything on World War I on Germany. And Germany, nationalism happened in Germany for a lot of reasons. It wasn't just evil Hitler. There was a lot of things America did, there was a lot of things Europe did that contributed to the National Party growing in Germany. And nobody wants to take that responsibility for those other factors, because, we just look at the bad guy. There's the Nazis. But you don't want to look at the narrative that got to that point. And that's the stuff that matters, because that was ideas not winning out, because people were being shitty with their ideas, and they weren't talking to Germany, and Germany had to become nationalistic and exclusive because it had no access to the rest of the world.
I would have to say that
and you gotta be careful.
Research... Yeah, I mean, when I did my research, I mean, I'm not saying I'm any historian buff or I have great extensive knowledge about World War II, but I agree with that. I mean, from what I understand, is that after World War II, we really did not give we declared that we won against Germany, but we didn't go in there and did any changes to it. We left them high and dry, unemployed, everybody was unemployed. we just let them suffer, and even so, we won against them. I mean, was it France or who won against Germany?
France really pushed the treaty, and they were the ones that pretty much put all the blame on Germany. France was really the ones that pushed the anti-German narrative in Europe. No, I mean, I'm glad you say that, because I say this all the time. It's not like I don't think Nazis are evil, but people want to ignore the historical build-up to that. America, we didn't handle post-World War I well. We just didn't. Especially with how we handled Europe. The Soviet Union, I mean, what Germany did to Russia is fucking awful. Don't get me wrong, all the stuff that happened. But those are a lot of consequences that happened because of decisions people made at that time. That gave Hitler power.
Yeah, well, I think the big thing is communication was not a strong suit of the world at the time. I mean, the thing I think about is that you kill 5 people today, the world's going to know about it. You
Yes.
kill 1 million people back then, it's really hard to still get that information out there, and to know what's going on in detail. And so it's really hard to get away with stuff in a sense today. But back then, when people are at war and they're fighting, and you're the bystander, you don't see the intensified view that we see today. So they're not going to think about it. They're not going to put themselves forward to make discussion.
You're so right,
you know
because no, I'm glad that you've read enough on history to know that, because a lot of people that talk blanketly about Nazi Germany or Germany and World War I and II, they ignore all of the context history between World War I and World War II. They just ignore it. They don't bring it up because I don't think they go read about it. And it's like, hey, I'm not. But then they'll call you a Nazi that we're having this conversation. They'll say that we're pro-Nazi because we're being morally gray about the discussion. We're actually having an open discussion about it, but they would label us Nazis. They would say, oh, you're defending Hitler. It's like, neither one of us has said that. We haven't even implied it. We've just said that, history is written by the victors, and of course Germany is always going to be labeled as the most evil thing ever, and it's never really going to be looked at any other way except by historians and people that know the facts, but for the most part, it's always going to be the people who win are going to... if Germany had won, today we'd be living in a world where we thought America was the most evil country in the world, probably. We'd be living in this propaganda of America, and we'd be speaking German and stuff. And people don't think about that. That's what influences a lot of the way we think and see the world, is the people who are telling us the way to think are the ones who killed off or beat the other people and then decided how things continue on. And basically what we did when we came here from Europe is we took the risk. Because, almost half the people, I think half the people that first sailed over here died. To make that trip from Europe to over here was crazy. And they did it, and we get to reap the rewards from where we landed in geographically. We're in a really great location, being here. And
Right.
The founding fathers, they took all the stuff from Europe that did work, and then they got rid of the stuff that didn't work, that the Catholic Church had too much power. And I hate to say that, that's progress. I think other countries, like we said with Japan earlier, if they would just adapt the things that we're doing that work, and maybe even fix some of the things we're doing, it'd be badass everywhere. Take the things that work, and then get rid of all the, the stuff that doesn't work. And, I think secularism, I think, should be everywhere in the world. I think religion and the government should be separate in every country. And it's not. And until it is, I'm going to fight against radical Islam and those things, because I don't believe in Sharia law. I don't think it should be tolerated. Just like if we were being pushed laws here, Christian laws, I wouldn't tolerate it. I just don't think it's that big of a deal. I don't think this idea, this narrative of Christian America, I don't think it's that big of a deal anymore. I don't think the conservative Christians control this country like everyone else does.
It's businesses that control. It's about what makes the dollar signs at the end of the day.
Yeah, when it was profitable to be Christian, everyone was Christian. Now it's less profitable. You don't see it as much.
No, yeah, and I don't feel that religion has had any play in my lifetime about constraining me. Capitalism is what's the biggest player, and it's the strongest one. And the thing is, the people get upset about is the fact that if they're on the low end of the tier of capitalism, they're gonna feel oppressed by it.
Yes.
But you need to work your way. What's the golden key here is that nobody's stopping you from trying.
Yes.
So if you want to go up in the world, you need to try to go there. And nobody's going to stop you from going up. You can figure it out. And that's what happened to me. I went from, I'm kind of low. I was kind of a low income family with my mother and father. My father passed away, and my mom, she still doesn't know how to set her alarm or use a cell phone yet. So you could see that she's very labor work type of individual. But I said to myself, I will not be like that. I will rise and I will learn and I will make forth. And in a sense, that's what I've done. I've become more financially stable than I could have been. So there was no suppression of me doing that. I just had to put my foot down and say, how am I going to do this? And
I completely agree with you, and I think that's the message I don't like that's told the SJW, because they'll tell the black community, hey, the reason your life's unhappy is because of systemic racism, why people hate you. And it's not telling them, hey, you might have it a little bit harder because you're black. That could be true. Like being a woman. I think women have a little bit harder in some situations than men. I'm willing to admit that. But you got to overcome it.
mm-hmm.
And then when you do, no one can stop you from overcoming it. Like, legitimately, no one can stop you. You can only stop yourself in a sense. Because you let it get to you. But that's what I try to explain to people about the American dream. It's not that you're owed the American dream, it's that you have the chance to get it. You can become successful here if you want to, doing something you want to do. It doesn't mean it's going to happen, but it's a chance. You have the possibility to do it. And
in a perfect example, the movie Pursuit of Happiness, right?
Of course. Yeah, Will Smith.
With Will Smith in it, and he, as his character, when he goes out, and when he, he's down on his luck, you lost everything. You're not gonna have a place to sleep, and you get this guy that rolls up in this brand new Ferrari, or whatever, a Lamborghini, whatever. The thing you shouldn't do is say, "Oh my God, that guy is so rich, and I wish I could have that, and I hate this person." No, you should ask him the simple question: how'd you get that?
Yes.
How did you make that happen? Because they have probably shared to you, oh yeah, I do this for a living, and you're like, maybe I can do that. And then that's the progression that you get. In a sense, that's what I did. Like, what can I do? Well, when I saw people making lots of money in the IT world, I'm like, how you do that? How'd you make the money? And you ask questions, and the questions will get you answers. Like, in a sense, with my mate, he's a high school dropout. He hasn't gone to college. He hasn't got his GED yet, like I have. And he works at a grocery store. Okay, and he's complained at me many times, saying, "Oh, I can't make enough money. I can't do this, and I'm not going to be anywhere in the world if I don't have a high school diploma and all this." And then he almost stepped into his race, just almost. I stopped him and I said, "No, it's because you're not looking for something that you can excel at. You keep saying you can't do this, you can't do that. Find something that you can do and keep going at it." And he still works at the same job, but he got a second job that caters to his time frame, so he can choose whenever he wants to work and still make money. And now he's making okay money to survive. And he doesn't live with me yet, but that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for someone that's willing to step above and find solutions that will work for them for the time being. He lives with his parents right now, and he's got a car payment and all this. So it's a little tough right now. It's a little tough, understandable, but there are solutions to get out of your problems, and you just got to keep looking. And
I completely agree with you. That's the message that people need to hear. Young people need to hear that. We don't try to encourage entrepreneurs in this country like we did. And I think, like, I watched the show Shark Tank. It's a popular reality show where these people come on and they bring projects, and then they try to get these guys to invest in it, like Mark Cuban and stuff like that, or the guy who started Fubu. And the whole show is really great because it teaches you business. Like, these people come in and they have some really good ideas, but they didn't market it well. They didn't, and it's always about choices they made in their life to get them to that point. Some of these people spent 10 years to try to, and then they get something bought on Shark Tank. And like what you said, what you excel at. That's the thing. Like, I always wanted to make movies and do videos. I wanted to be a magician when I was a kid. I wanted to be a magician, so I tried to do magic, and I just wasn't very good at it. I couldn't get the technical stuff down. So I started doing movies because I thought, oh, well, this is a magic trick. Movies are an illusion. It's an optical illusion, what you do with the camera. It's kind of the same thing as a magic trick. You're manipulating someone's vision to make them see or think things a certain way. So I got into that.
Well, what's nice is it's repeatable.
Yes, it is.
Constantly repeatable because you have a technical knowledge that goes with it.
Yes.
And
I got into editing because of that, and I excelled at it. And that's why I started doing YouTube and stuff. It's like, I'm good at this. I wouldn't be good at, put me in the military with a gun, I'd be a fucking moron. I'd get someone killed. I don't belong there. I'm not good at that. I'll admit that. I'm not good in a lot of situations. But, if you need a guy that can bullshit on camera or be on a movie set, my happiest moments in my life are when I was at the most stressed I was on a set making one of my independent films. Or, like, it's the worst day and you got to make 100 decisions. Everything sucks. Your actors are bitching, it's hot, whatever. And those are your best days. Because those moments when you're challenged and you excel, they build character. And that defines who you are. Those moments when you make yourself. You're like, this is me. This is me now. I know what I can do. And then you take that experience and do another thing, and then you're good at that now. And then you can adapt those experiences to all sorts of things. You find out you can be good at all kinds of things because you learned a lesson. And being a listener, listening to people who do know more than you, who can teach you, and you may want to hate them because they're successful, but you're really just fighting jealousy. And if you can swallow that pill that you're jealous of some people, you can learn some valuable shit from people and take that work. And that's capital of this free market. You can become successful in this country if you're willing to learn and listen and take your lashes and put time. And life has a way of working out. I try to tell people, like, you don't have perspective. You don't realize that something was a good moment in your life until years after it happened. A lot of the time, you don't realize in the moment that something's great. You gotta have experience to go back and go, oh, actually, that was great. And that's what people don't realize. They want life to be great in the moment, and they don't just live it while it's happening. They try to make things great.
Right. And my bosses,
my
bosses have told me the same thing. They said, I don't understand. Why you so enwrapped with furry when like half and more of the community is putting you down all the time. Why you suffering through this? Well, you can be so much better everywhere else. And they understand that the identity issue is really tough one to get over. It's not something I can easily just shut off and be okay. So they try to coach me, like, just stop letting the drama get to you. Focus on work. Focus on what you're good at. And sometimes it's hard. And when I was flying back from Hawaii last night, I was on the plane. I was watching, Delta Airlines. I was watching some of their movies, and they had a new release called The Founder. Oh my God! When I watched that, A+ stuff, and it was about the story of McDonald's, how it started.
Oh yeah, Michael Keaton. Yeah. I remember.
And how
didn't he rip another guy off or something?
Well, what happened is that you had two guys that started McDonald's, and this guy was totally in love with this whole concept and wanted to franchise McDonald's and make it into this global thing. And, he tried pushing that, and the other guys that started McDonald's was like, no, we want to keep it in this little bubble. But it was showing that his persistence to try to get McDonald's become a well-known brand everywhere around the world. When at the time, you have to understand, the 1950s, 1954, the whole idea of fast food didn't really exist, and it was really sloppy. It wasn't great. No Burger King, no Wendy's, none of that shit was existing.
And people ate dinner at home primarily still. People were still going home and ate dinner back then.
The people that were eating out were teenagers that were, in their cars. It was
American Graffiti. It was a hangout thing. You went to go hang out at the place and show off your car and
stuff. Hang out at the drive-in, and you always look at the cute waitresses on the roller skates. That was the thing. But McDonald's offered a solution to get rid of all that and get food quickly and kind of form kind of the family situation. And the idea was great, and the fact that, in a way, he did steal it from the two guys, I think the brothers, the idea of McDonald's and pushing it even so, it was a franchise situation. Eventually you make so much money, you have control over the people that actually started it.
Yeah.
And in that movie, it just showed that, yeah, money wins at the end of the day, and even if you suffer losses, the fact that he persistently to make McDonald's grow into this now successful billion-dollar industry in fast food is like amazing. Like that persistence got him to the place he is now. And that wasn't an easy play, That was like, it showed that they had to struggle to make it happen, and eventually talking to enough people, accepting conversation, you realize, oh, I could do more here. And when they settle up with the two guys, and they wanted $1 million for each of them to get the rights of McDonald's transferred over to the guy that was trying to franchise it into this multi-million billion-dollar industry.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Batman.
When they were doing the contract, they said that they wanted 1% royalty for McDonald's, but they, obviously like a businessman he was like, I ain't doing that. And they took it out of the contract and we'll just shake on it. And that was never actually, no proof of that actually happened, but if they got 1% royalty today, that's $100 million a year.
Yeah.
I mean, that just shows you it went from a 15-cent burger to billions of dollars in just,
I had
almost
that too.
a person's lifetime.
I watched Steve Jobs the other day, and I hadn't seen it yet. The Michael Fassbender one that Danny Boyle made, and it was it takes place over 3 different launches he has with Apple. When he launches, he launches a Mac, then he launches this failed thing, and then he launches the iMac in the late 90s. The movie ends right before he's about to release the iPhone in the early 2000s stuff. And he even talks about the iPhone. He says to his daughter at one point, he's like, I'm going to put 1,000 songs in your pocket. And the movie's about him. He gets fired. He gets fucked around. He's an asshole. He treats everyone like shit. He treats his kid like shit. He treats everyone he works with like shit. But then when you get to the end of the movie, after all the shit, after 20 years of him being a dick to these people, and then being like, why are you doing this to me? Like, why are you not crediting me, Steve Wozniak, for the stuff that I did here? Why are you pretending you're a genius? What do you do? Well, what do you do? And then at the end of the movie, Apple went from a company that was pretty much bankrupt to being, now, today, Apple's the biggest tech company in the world. By far. Actually has been for a few years. And what Steve Jobs had, what that guy had, vision. The future. There's certain people that know something is going to be a thing 20, 30 years before it happens, and those people you can't stop. You can't stop. We see it with movies all the time. Blade Runner, that movie came out in the 80s, it bombed. People didn't like it. Now it's influenced every science fiction film that's come out after it, because Ridley Scott had a vision. Some people know, the Citizen Kanes, there's the music, there's those things where it's like, wow, these people knew. You have to fuck people over sometimes to get there, because people get in the way of the vision, and people don't understand that sometimes to make those decisions you have to make, you kind of have to say, well, you guys don't want to take this to the place it needs to go, so I got to get rid of you and keep going. And that's a harsh truth people don't want to hear, but that is a big key to success a lot of the time, major success, where you're a legend. I'd have to say that Furry Raiders even had to go through stuff like that, where we had, I had to dissociate myself from people that were my friends, because their vision and my vision were totally different, and I felt that they wanted to change me, and they were going to do any way they could, if they had to use the group against me, they would. Yeah. And I was like, no, I will fight this, and so that it does happen, and it's an ugly truth, because you hurt each other when you do that. I hurt them, they hurt me, and it's the band cliche that you get in a band and the band breaks up because you don't agree on what direction to take the music. But it's so true. Like when you work with people.
In business, it's true, and in everything, it's in to some degree. But the thing that I've learned to do is say, even so, we're not friends with. I'm not friends with everybody. We don't really hate each other. That's the thing. We understand. Other people understand this is Foxler. And Foxler, when he's ready, he'll change. Yeah. But I can't force him to change. And this is his group. And if we can't get along, I tell him, you don't have to be part of it.
Well,
We go our
my
own
most
way.
hated thing that I get on my channel is when somebody gives me advice that not when they try to give you constructive criticism, right? But when
Right.
they give you a blanket armchair and analyst advice, they're like, well, you should do this with your videos, or you should do this, or this doesn't work. And I'm like, well, who the fuck are you? Why do you get to tell me how to run my channel and run my videos? Why do you get to tell me how to use my name and stuff? Because I have a vision of what I want it to be. And, you know, you don't get to affect it, basically, like what the Furry Raiders. Like, you have an idea of what you want the Raiders to be. People don't get to change that into what they want it to be because it suits them. You know, it's your thing. It's your vision.
Right, and I will change, but people need to know how to, in a sense, in a business sense, they have to know how to propose their changes. And they need to know how it's going to affect everything. They need to take in all the considerations, and that's how it works with me. You know, I'm willing to change, but you need to be able to propose your change as well, and something that I can understand and proceed with. So, you know, when people are just like, no, we'll just do it, like, perfect example, somebody comes into our group chat and was like, I'm going to save the Raiders. And I'm like, okay, so, and then what are you going to do? He's like, let's change the logo. I'm like, so where's the money? You know, this is not free.
Yeah, come in with a plan. Show me your design. Show me what you're going to make. Show me your product. Show me how we're going to do it. Explain the math to me. We can talk this. But they don't have any of that. They just come with you like...
No, they're the classic... Actually, they were 16 years old trying to make chain, and then I'm sitting there discussing with them. You know, like we're very different in age group here. You can't just come in and say you're gonna fix it all, and then get mad at me when I don't agree with you. And then I tell him my story because he doesn't believe that when my claims of not being a Nazi are true, and he's like, well, you could have Googled it. And I'm just like, okay, back up here. This is 2001. No teenager with dial-up is going to be worried about Nazis. He only cares about illegal music and porn.
Yeah.
Let's back up right there. And he's like, well, you had friends. They should have told you. I'm just like, well, you're not me. So you don't know what my life was for like 10 years when there was no friends. Yes. Furry was the only thing I know. And then he's like, oh, but you went to school. You should know about it. I'm like, well, I was a high school dropout, unlike you, you know. They don't teach World War II really until high school, and that was very short-lived for me. You know, and they're like, well, how about now? And I'm just like, dude, you don't get it. You know, we're in a different age group here. There's nothing you can do to fix this. I'm not going to change because you tell me to.
Yes.
And the fact that you think you have this great power to do so, that's good for you, but until you can execute it, then let me know. But until then, I'm just going to say, I'm sorry, I can't accept your ideas. And I love how he got all pissed about it. And then, you know, I had eventually, because he tried getting everybody to turn on me, I just kicked him out. I said, now you're just harassing me. And then now he's like, oh, I'm going to go make a whole bunch of videos about how horrible you are and all this. And he still hasn't done it.
I want to say real quick, I got a donation here from Fraser Danger, $5. Thank you for donating in the super chat. The furries I've known always want to gay cyber with me, and I'm not interested. Also, hail the patriarchy. Just wanted to give a shekel to the good goy. Also,
I am sorry furries want to try to rape you.
Yeah. Also, he says that he has a YouTube channel, so people go check out Fraser Danger, Frazier Danger. Check out his YouTube account if you want to look at some of his videos. But thanks for donating the money, man. That's awesome. $5. Well, I get to make money while I talk to you. It's great.
No, thanks for donating to the Renaissance man. It's fucking awesome.
No, it is. I appreciate it when people do that, because I'm like, fuck, you're giving me money when I'm just bullshitting on a mic with someone. But if it's entertainment, man, I want people, this is, you know, I think a lot of people, the chat's been kind of enjoying this the whole time. A lot of people said, a lot of people in the chat, I guess, are furries. And they said that you...
Well, they probably were like, oh, you're interviewing Foxer. Oh, shit. Let's spread the link.
A couple people said you were their hero, and they related to a lot of the things you said, and a lot of the other people, everyone seems pretty on point with what you said throughout the chat.
Well, I haven't looked at the live stream, so for all the viewers out there, and for me, like, how many people are watching? What was the peak?
Well, we're down to we're like at 6 right now, but earlier we were probably at 30, 40 people watching at once. Sometimes the live streams, when they're over, you don't realize what the number count was because the people aren't always in chat. Like when the live stream ended one day, it said in chat I had 28 people, and then when I ended the live stream, it had like 390 views. So it's kind of a tough algorithm.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a weird one. Like some days I have like 50 people in there, 60. It's times two. We're doing this on a Monday or Tuesday. So is today Tuesday? Can't think. Usually people watch these on the weekend.
No, Monday. Yes.
Yeah, it's a holiday.
Well, it's a holiday today.
Yeah.
Memorial.
Yeah, so people are probably with their families today, so a lot of people are going to catch it. Because I know a lot of people, all of my subscribers wanted to watch this, and I tried to talk about it, but I didn't know what day we were doing it. Because I had 100 people say they wanted to watch this live stream, talk to me online. They were like, dude, tell me when that live stream's up. And I'm like, yeah, I don't know when it's going to be up because I got to wait for Fox to get back from Hawaii. But people, don't worry, people are going to watch it after we upload this because it's going to go right on YouTube, and all my subs are going to, I'm sure they're going to watch it. Everyone, yeah, I ask everyone to share this on Twitter if you want to get the word out on the Furry Raiders. And you want to get the word out on the live stream and get people out there. Some people said in the chat they posted on their Twitter. But yeah, if you're a fan of Foxler and you're a fan of this whole thing and you want to help this out and get the word out, share it around, man. Get this out here. Because I think
the best thing...
Sorry, keep going.
Well, I was just going to say that the best thing anybody can do for the Furry Raiders and for yourself is just be you. And... don't let people try to change that. Don't let people try to influence it the way that you don't want it. You know, that is the key thing, is to be yourself. That's all I would like from people. Just be yourself. And, you know, I want to be myself. You can be yourself. And as long as we can all do that, that's where the equality will start beginning. Where we can start getting along with all these problems and being like, okay, so, you know, like I said, a lot of my friends, you know, they have different political views, and some voted for Hillary, some voted for Trump, some didn't vote at all. But, you know, the thing about Raiders, you know why we get along so well, is because the fact that we can push all that aside and just talk about furry stuff. It's like, nope.
Yeah, and I think that's a good thing. I think this was a very informative stream. It went on for 3.5 hours. I think you made a lot of great points.
3.5 hours of bullshit.
Yeah. But no, I think you did a really good job of representing yourself, who you are, Foxler, in this, and I think people are going to get a good idea if they want to see who you are as a guy, how you feel about things, and I think from this it comes off, yeah, you're really nice guy, and I want people to know that you're actually really nice, and you're nothing, is of what people label you as, so that's important. That's
so evil.
Yeah, you know, look at this though. He's in this giant little fox. He's in this fox costume. He looks like a villain. But no, I once again appreciate you coming on. I appreciate the donation. Make sure to follow Foxler on Twitter. I'll put a link in the description once this video goes up if some of you can't find it, although he's not hard to find. Support the Furry Raiders, man. If you can support the group like that, that'd be great. Let them know you guys know they're not Nazis. And I thank everyone who watched the stream for all 3.5 hours. I'm sure some people tuned in and out depending, because they were like, fuck, they're not going to stop. Yeah, the Fellowship of the Ring here. This was awesome. This was really awesome. I'm glad you actually did it in the fox costume. This was Foxler's idea. I was just trying to do this audio, and then he kept telling me I need to get in the costume. That was the right idea. I'm glad we did it that way. I think it's a much better video because of that. And yeah, okay, so that's going to be the end of the stream. Do you have any last things to say, Foxler? Before you guys, you want to say bye to the people?
Everybody have a good rest of your holiday, and thank you very much for your time. And I also thank Renaissance Man for taking his time. Appreciate all the work that everybody does.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, that's it. Thank you, guys, and go fuck yourselves, as I always say in the end of my video. Wait, Foxler, give us a go fuck yourselves.
Go fuck yourselves, motherfucker.
Yeah. All right.